Chapter 1522, A Wise Man Stops Rumors. 2. When she heard Ling Ruoxue say that she was poor and didn't have anything of value, she felt a little depressed. However, she was more pleased with herself because that was within her expectations. However, when she heard Ling Ruoxue say that her old grandmadam would place this bet on her behalf, she could not help but feel envious. Hence, she did not even think before asking, "Old grandmadam, is Miss Ling's wager really coming from you?" I'll pay. The master of the Ning family nodded, and then he said, "Since you've challenged Shui, I won't stop you. However, it's not satisfying to watch the two of you compete alone. Why don't you bring forward the family competition that's going to be held half a year later? Well, set the time for 7 days later, so you should all prepare well." Master Ning's words were like a stone that stirred up 1,000 ripples, causing many of the unprepared Ning family members to be dumbfounded. They had originally had half a year's time to prepare well, but who knew that because of Ning Shi'er's challenge, they had to compete in advance. This made many people resentful of Ning Shi'er, but because of Ning Shi'er's status, they only dared to be angry but did not dare to say anything. "Master, isn't it a little inappropriate to bring the family competition forward? Many of our clansmen are out traveling. He definitely won't be able to make it back in 7 days." The second elder could not help but remind him. "How many of them are traveling outside?" the master of the Ning family asked. The second elder was at a loss for words. How would he know how many of them were traveling? Those clansmen might not tell him that they had left their homes. Since second elder is not clear, then the family competition will be held in 7 days. All clansmen who meet the conditions can participate, regardless of direct or branch family. Everyone will be treated equally. The master of the Ning family announced loudly. The Ning family master's words made many of the clansmen present excited. "Brother, I can also participate in the family competition," Ning Shan said very excitedly, so excited that his little face was flushed red. "Yes." Ning Hai nodded. He was happy for his brother. However, some people were happy while others were sad. This was good news for the distant relatives, but it was not the case in the ears of the direct relatives. "Master, isn't this against the rules?" the second elder asked carefully. In the past family competitions, only the direct family could participate. The branch family did not have this opportunity. Moreover, many of the direct family members looked down on the branch family and even treated them like slaves. If the direct family and the branch family were to compete, wouldn't it be a mess? Rules are dead, but people are alive. Branch family members are also my Ning family's descendants, so how is that against the rules? The master of the Ning family sneered. The patriarch is right. There are many elites in the branch family. We should give them a chance. An elder agreed. Third elder, I'll leave the matters of the clan competition to you, the master of the Ning family ordered. The third elder he was talking about was the elder who had just agreed with him. However, the second elder obviously still didn't quite agree, but he could only put on a dark face and not raise any objections. After that, the so-called welcoming banquet continued. Although it was not very harmonious, Ning Shi'er would make sarcastic remarks from time to time, but they were all ignored by Ling Ruoxue. She was even more focused on eating the food in front of her, eating without saying a word. After the torturous welcome banquet ended, Ling Ruoxue immediately left and locked herself in her room, not asking about anything. Even the master of the Ning family wanted to see her, but he was denied the door. The master of the Ning family, who had not seen him, was anxious and uneasy. Shui couldn't be angry with him, right? Could it be that she was blaming him for not supporting her at the banquet? In fact, he had deliberately ignored Ning Shi'er and allowed her to make a fuss. He felt that life at home was a little dull and wanted to find some fun. Moreover, he wouldn't really let anyone bully Shui. If Ning Shi'er went too far, he would definitely not let her go. However, he believed that Shui would not suffer. After returning to his residence, he gloomily sat down on the stone chair in the courtyard. The Ning family's master didn't say a word, but when the first elder saw him like this, he couldn't help but laugh and say, "What's wrong?" He didn't see Shui again. "She's definitely angry with you, and you're still the head of the family. You can't even manage your own descendants, you're really useless. Why can't I control my own descendants?" Hearing this, the master of the Ning family shouted at the top of his voice. "Can you manage that Ning Shi her?" The first elder raised his brows and said with an evil smile. "Of course I can." The master of the Ning family said fiercely. "I can." "She still dares to make a scene at the banquet?" The grand elder asked in surprise. "It's a different matter whether I care about it or not. I deliberately let her cause a scene at the banquet, can't I?" Master Ning's eyes were wide open as he said indignantly. "All right. This is your Ning family's territory, so you can do whatever you want, but whether or not Shui will let you have your way, that's hard to say." The great elder said with a smile. In fact, he also wanted to watch the show, but he did not know if Shui would give them this opportunity. "Didn't Shui accept Ning Xier's challenge?" The master of the Ning family said. "By the way, do you really intend to let the two of them compete?" "Shui is the mid-level deity," the first elder said worriedly. "This is something Shui agreed to herself. It has nothing to do with me. However, since she agreed, she should be confident." The master of the Ning family was not confident either. Furthermore, he wanted to see Leng Ruoxue but he could not, so he was a little frustrated. At this moment, he was not the only one who was frustrated. After the banquet ended, Ning Shi, who felt that she had made a big splash at the banquet, was called into Ning Yuan's study room and severely reprimanded. This also made Ning Xier's hatred for Leng Ruoxue deepen. After Ning Shi returned to her room, she smashed everything in the room to pieces. The two maidservants beside her were also badly injured by her, but she still couldn't vent her hatred. After Ning Yuan had lectured Ning Shi, he had gone to the forbidden area at the back of the mountain to beg for forgiveness from the old ancestor. As for what he had discussed with the master of the Ning family, no one knew. After he had left the forbidden area, he had also kept quiet. Time passed day by day. In these few days, rumors suddenly spread throughout the Ning family's main residence. These rumors were naturally related to Leng Ruoxue. Some people said that Leng Ruoxue was pampered and did not respect the Ning family. Some people said that Leng Ruoxue was brutal by nature and always abused servant girls. Some people even said that Leng Ruoxue was going to replace Ning Yuan and Ning Haolan as the master of the Ning family. The cause of all this was naturally because the master of the Ning family valued Leng Ruoxue. However, the more outrageous the rumor was, the more uneasy the Ning family became. In the Ning family's meeting hall, Ning Yuan and the elders gathered. "Elders, please speak your mind." Ning Yuan's head ached as he looked at the elders who were sitting there with unfriendly expressions. In fact, he knew what these elders wanted to say, but he had no other choice but to pretend to be confused. Chapter 1523, A Wise Man Stops Rumors, 3, Acting Patriarch. There has been a rumor in the family recently. I wonder if you know about it? An elder asked after a long while. Since it's just a rumor, it doesn't matter if it's clear or not. Ning Yuan said calmly, obviously not taking it seriously. Acting Patriarch, how can it not be related? Your position is about to be replaced by someone else, aren't you worried at all? The 19th elder roared in disbelief. 19th elder. Don't make things sound like they're just rumors. If your clansmen find out about this, have you thought about the consequences? Ning Yuan's face sank and he said unhappily. No one would be willing to hear such words, but the 19th elder spoke as if it was the truth. How could he not be angry? Acting Patriarch, there's no smoke without fire. I think you must be careful about this matter. How can our Ning family be handed over to an outsider? What will happen to so many of our clansmen? The 19th elder shouted with grief and indignation. 19th elder. Don't talk nonsense, it's completely impossible. Watch your mouth, if I hear such words from your mouth again, don't blame me for being impolite. Ning Yuan roared angrily. Acting patriarch, I'm just worried about you. It's fine if you don't appreciate it, but why are you threatening me? 19th Elder's face was full of grievance. Just mind your own business, I don't need you to worry about me. If the master thinks that I'm not doing my job well and wants to replace me, I have no objections. Ning Yuan said coldly. He really hated this kind of person who claimed that he was doing it for his own good and wanted to take advantage of the chaos. The acting patriarch is right. If old forefather wants to replace me as the young lord, I have no objections. At this time, a cold voice came from the door. Then, a tall and straight figure appeared in the meeting hall. Haolan, you've returned. Ning Yuan said happily when he saw Ning Haolan. Greetings, acting clan head and elders. Ning Haolan greeted everyone with a slight bow. Young master. You heard the rumors? The 19th elder quickly asked when he saw that the future master of the Ning family had returned. Ning Haolan was different from Ning Yuan. Ning Yuan was only the acting master. Although the master had given him a lot of power, there were many things that he could not make the decisions on. On the other hand, Ning Haolan was the successor chosen by the master. The future of the Ning family would be handed over to him. Therefore, the 19th elder really hoped that Ning Haolan would take this matter seriously. I heard it. Ning Haolan said simply, his expression calm. Young master. We must take this matter seriously. If it's true, you and the acting family head will lose your position. The 19th elder warned. If this is true, what does the 19th elder plan to do? Don't tell me you can influence the old ancestors' thoughts. Ning Haolan said with a faint smile. But we can't just do nothing. If the master really wants to hand the Ning family over to an outsider, we must unite all the clansmen to oppose this matter. The Ning family cannot be surnamed Leng. The 19th elder roared with righteous indignation. So you're saying that you're going against our ancestor? You dare to oppose the decision of the ancestor, your courage is commendable. Ning Haolan said with a face full of admiration. He was really speechless towards this brainless 19th elder. This rumor was clearly meant to sow discord. If it were him, he would have just brushed it off as a joke. However, these elders who had nothing better to do were actually discussing it as if it was a serious matter. If the old ancestor were to find out about this, what good would they do? Young master. You can't wrong me. How would I dare to go against the ancestor? I just don't want the Ning family to be an outsider. I'm the most loyal to the Ning family. 19th elder expressed his feelings. You treat a rumor like this, and you still dare to say that you're not trying to go against our ancestor? Haven't you heard of the saying, rumors stop at the wise? Are you all a bunch of pigheads? Ning Haolan looked around at the crowd and scolded them rudely. Young master. How can you say that about us? Which one of us here isn't your elder? The second elder was displeased by Ning Haolan. Second elder. As an elder, he should set an example. Such a groundless matter and you elders were so concerned about it. If this were to spread, what would the ordinary clansmen think? Don't tell me you want to see our Ning family's hearts fall apart. Ning Haolan asked impolitely. Young master, you've misunderstood. We didn't take the rumor seriously. We were just discussing how to stop it from spreading. The second elder chuckled. In that case, did I mishear the 19th elder's words? Ning Haoran laughed coldly, his starry eyes staring at the 19th elder. It's a misunderstanding, young master. Under Ning Haolan and the second elder's glares, the 19th elder changed his words without any backbone. Woo-woo. Everyone clearly thinks the same as me, but no one dares to echo my words now. I've become the bird that stands out. What the hell is this? He felt so wronged. Since I've misunderstood, I hope that no one will mention this matter again. Otherwise, if this reaches the ears of the ancestor, no one will have a good ending. Ning Haolan warned. The young master is right, this matter is nothing. Rumors are just rumors. If we don't pay attention to them, they'll naturally fade away. Ning Yuan said. Everyone, disperse. Ning Haolan suggested. N. The sitting elder nodded, then stood up and left the meeting hall. Ning Yuan went up to Ning Haolan and sized him up before saying, Haolan, you're back for the family competition, right? Yes. The old ancestor said he wanted me to be a judge. Ning Haolan said with a smile. Did you know that our ancestor has adopted a goddaughter? Ning Yuan asked again. I know. The old ancestor told me about it. Ning Haolan replied honestly. Oh. That girl is very beautiful. Ning Yuan tried to start a conversation. I've heard from the ancestor. Uncle, what do you want to tell me? Don't beat around the bush. Ning Haolan chuckled. You should go and see She's your sister, after all. Actually, there was something else that he did not say. He could not predict what would happen to Ning after this competition, so he was very uneasy. After all, Ning was the child he had doted on for so many years. He really didn't want to see her go down the wrong path. Uncle. You're wrong. My mother only gave birth to me, and I don't have a sister. Ning Haolan said coldly before turning around and leaving the meeting room. Chapter 1524, Instigating, 1. Ning Yuan looked at Ning Haolan's back, his heart filled with mixed feelings. AI. He didn't know who his nephew had inherited his personality from. Not only was he stubborn and cold, but he also never got too close to his own clan. He didn't even like his only sister. Although this sister was his sister from a different mother, she was still his sister. He still hoped that the siblings could support each other, but unfortunately, this could only become his extravagant hope. In truth, the reason why he had been able to become the acting family head, and why his branch had been able to stand out from the rest of the family, was all because Ning Haolan had received special treatment from the old ancestor. As the acting family head, he had done it to protect Haolan. As such, he had hoped that his branch of family members would be united, or at least not drag Haolan down. After a few years, their branch had also produced many more elites. He was rather pleased with this. However, he still could not let go of the relationship between the Haolan siblings. However, he knew very well that this kind of thing could not be rushed. After all, this was a terrible debt from the previous generation. It was not very possible to settle it. After Ning Haolan left the meeting hall, he immediately returned to his own residence, Land Garden. As he walked into the courtyard, he saw a handsome young master dressed in snow-white clothes. He was sitting under the moon and drinking tea with a carefree expression. An attendant was standing respectfully not far away. You are quite carefree. Ning Haolan smiled and sat down across from the young man in white. What else? The white-robed man, who was floating like a deity, raised his sword-like eyebrows and smiled evilly. Qing Xian, has anyone ever told you not to smile so casually? You look like you're asking for a beating. Ning Haolan rolled his eyes at the man in white and said seriously. This guy is really a source of trouble. From time to time, he would smile like that. Which woman could stand it? Fortunately, he was not a woman. Otherwise, she would have long given up on him. No, I didn't, The white-robed man, who was also the Qing Xian Ning Haolan was referring to, laughed even more heartily. Not only that, but he also kept throwing seductive glances at Ning Haolan, causing the latter to shiver and his hair to stand on end. You're smiling at me, so I'm going to beat you up. Ning Haolan couldn't take it anymore. He once again doubted whether it was the right decision to bring this dissolute fellow back. If he was trying to seduce them, wouldn't the women in his clan suffer? Beat me up. Can you bear to? Qing Xian deliberately paused before smiling. Why don't you try it? Ning Haolan gritted his teeth at Qing Xian's words. This guy's too despicable. He's even taking liberties with me. I don't need to try to know that you can't bear to beat me up. Qing Xian said a little narcissistically, his handsome face still a little red. He lowered his eyes and peeked at Ning Haolan from time to time, perfectly acting like a shy admirer. However, the way he acted as if he had just seen his sweetheart disgusted Ning Haolan so much that he wanted to puke. Although he was not interested in women, he was not interested in men either. What was even more infuriating was that he knew that this guy was just pretending to disgust him, but he couldn't do anything to Qing Xian, because Qing Xian was cunning. He wouldn't just stand there and let him beat him up like an idiot. In addition, there was no difference in strength between the two of them, so even if he beat Qing Xian up, he wouldn't be able to get anything out of it. Since that was the case, he naturally would not waste his energy. However, he became angry again when he saw Qing Xian. He glared at Qing Xian for a long time before he stood up and walked back to his room without looking back. No matter how Qing Xian called him from behind, he pretended not to hear him. Qing Xian watched Ning Haolan's back as he left, deep in thought. This guy couldn't be really angry, right? He wasn't such a petty person. However, no matter what, she still had to coax him tomorrow. After all, she still had to stay with the Ning family for a while, and she couldn't afford to offend Ning Haolan. With this plan in mind, Qing Xian knocked on Ning Haolan's door the next day at first light. Ning Haolan was just about to wash up when he saw that it was Qing Xian who had knocked on the door. He was taken aback for a moment before he spoke up, "What are you doing here?" His face was full of suspicion. Why did this guy wake up so early? It's definitely not good. I missed you, so I came to see you. Qing Xian said with a smile. Ah. Qing Xian's words caused Ning Haolan to shiver unconsciously, goosebumps rising all over his body. All the hair on his body stood on end as he glared at Qing Xian warily. What the hell are you doing? I'm not playing any tricks. Qing Xian looked aggrieved. He blinked his beautiful eyes and his long eyelashes drooped, making him look unlovable. Then what are you doing in my room so early in the morning? Ning Haolan asked helplessly. If it weren't for the fact that the two of them had known each other since they were young, and that he knew Qing Xian was a real man, he would have suspected that Qing Xian was a woman in disguise. Didn't I say I missed you? Qing Xian's eyes were wide open as he stared at Ning Haolan in disbelief. His focused expression made Ning Haolan's hair stand on end. Why did you miss me? Ning Haolan gritted his teeth and asked hatefully, fuck. Don't be so flirtatious. I'm really not interested in men. Of course I like you. Have you ever seen anyone think of someone they don't like? Qing Xian said with a fawning expression. I don't like you, so don't miss me. Ning Haolan could not take it any longer. He felt like this guy was driving him crazy. It was a good morning, and he was here to talk crazy things to him. This guy must be crazy too. Haolan. How could you do this to me? Qing Xian looked at Ning Haolan with a bitter expression, his clear eyes glistening with tears. I'm going to meet the ancestor. Ning Haolan took a deep breath when he saw Qing Xian's reaction. He kept telling himself to stay calm and not to be affected by this mentally unstable guy, because he was afraid that he would lose control and beat Qing Xian up. After he finished speaking, he ignored Qing Xian and left the room. Seeing his young master standing in the room in a daze, Qing Xian's attendant couldn't help but advise him, young master. One day, young master Ning will understand your feelings. Although he didn't approve of same-sex love, as long as young master liked it, he would support it to the end. N. Qing Xian nodded. Qing Xian had thought that his servant was only saying that Ning Haolan would understand that he was just trying to coax him, but who knew that they were just talking nonsense. They were not talking about the same thing at all. However, what he did not expect even more was that not long after that, rumors about him and Ning Haolan had started to spread. After Ning Haolan went to the forbidden area in the back mountain, he didn't see the old ancestor who was in a bad mood, so he could only return to the land garden in a daze. In less than 2 days, the Ning family's family competition had officially begun. On the day of the competition, Grape followed Leng Ruoxu's instructions and knocked on her door. Miss. The Ning family's competition has begun. Grape said softly after entering the room. Chapter 1525, Instigating, 2, yes. Leng Ruoxue, who was sitting on a chair, nodded in response. She then stood up and left the room with Grape. Miss. The master of the Ning family has been wanting to see you for the past few days. Grape said as she walked. Although Miss didn't tell her what she was doing in the room these few days, she knew very well that Miss was not angry. Miss was so busy, how could she have the time to sulk? Then what did you say? Leng Ruoxue asked with a smile. Tell me the truth. Miss has ordered that no one is allowed to disturb us, so we don't dare to disobey. However, Master Ning thinks that you're angry with him, so he has been very uneasy these days. At the end of the story, Grape couldn't help but laugh, because he suddenly remembered Master Ning's uneasy look. It was too funny. Leng Ruoxue's mood brightened when she heard Grape's description. In fact, she had been sharpening her spear in the last few days. She did not tell Grape what she was doing because she wanted to teach her godfather a little lesson. It was her godfather's fault for wanting to watch a good show. How could he not pay the price? After walking for a while, the three of them arrived at Master Ning's residence. At this time, Master Ning was like an ant on a hot pan, constantly pacing in circles in the courtyard. Godfather. Leng Ruoxue chuckled when she saw Master Ning's expression. Shua, you bad girl. When Master Ning heard Leng Ruoxue's voice, he quickly turned around and looked at her with a face full of resentment. Shua, what have you been doing these past few days? The first elder next to Master Ning couldn't help but ask. I'm cultivating. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Bad girl, you didn't even tell us about your cultivation. You made us so worried. The master of the Ning family complained. Hee hee. Godfather. Actually, I came up with this idea at the last minute. Even Grape and Lotus Seed didn't know about it. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Little girl. How's your cultivation these few days? There's no problem, right? The first elder asked with concern. The spiritual energy in the divinity was not that easy to absorb. However, this little freak could not be treated with common sense. Hence, he was not surprised that Leng Ruoxue was cultivating in the divinity. It's alright, no problem. Leng Ruoxue chuckled. Bad girl, your current strength is too low. It's better for you to absorb less spiritual energy from the divine realm. The master of the Ning family warned. Even though the spiritual energy in the main residence and the forbidden area had been purified, it was not as gentle as the spiritual energy in the godly mainland. Hence, he was afraid that Leng Ruoxue would feel the slightest bit of discomfort. After all, they could not watch her when she was cultivating. If something really happened, he was afraid that it would be too late. Well, actually, I was cultivating in the house that the great elder gave me. So, you can be 120% at ease. Leng Ruoxue consoled. That's good. The master of the Ning family and the great elder said in relief. Godfather. When are we going to the competition venue? Leng Ruoxue asked eagerly. There were many geniuses in the Ning family, and it seemed like she would be able to feast her eyes this time. Let's go now. Seeing how anxious Leng Ruoxue was, Master Ning's mood also became joyful. Just as everyone was about to head to the competition grounds, a soft and sweet voice suddenly rang out in Leng Ruoxue's heart, Sister. I want to see it too. This sound came from the little white tiger in the house. Although they were in the house, they were aware of everything that was happening in the outside world. Hearing that there was a competition, the young white tiger was curious. I also want to see it. Another childlike voice was heard. Good. All of you, take a look. Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. She really had no way to reject the request of these two adorable little things. With a change of thought, she moved them out of the house. Seeing the black and white furballs that had suddenly appeared in Leng Ruoxue's arms, Master Ning and Grand Elder were stunned, but they did not show much surprise. They had already heard that there was a tiger couple who had come with Leng Ruoxua this time, and they even brought 2 children. The 2 little furballs in Leng Ruoxua's arms were not even the size of a palm. They were chubby and silly, looking very cute. The 2 old men's hearts were itching as they looked at them. "Little girl, let me hug you." Without waiting for the master of the Ning family to speak, the first elder spoke first. The longer they lived, the more they liked these young and simple children, so these 2 newborn little tigers immediately aroused their love. Moreover, the 2 also knew that they almost died back then, so they had more tender love for these 2 cute little guys. "All right." Leng Ruoxua handed the little furball in her arms to the great elder. She knew that the great elder liked children. If it wasn't for the fact that Baby and Chiu were in closed-door cultivation, she would probably be in their arms again. Hee hee. What an adorable little fellow. The great elder held the 2 little round furballs in his arms. He touched one and looked at the other, and his heart melted into a pool of water. The 2 little guys were not shy with strangers, rolling around happily in the great elder's arms, constantly acting cute. The master of the Ning family was envious. Without a word, he directly took the little black tiger into his arms and spoke to the little guy very kindly. "Shua, don't these 2 little fellows have names?" The master of the Ning family thought for a while before asking. "Name? I really don't have any." Leng Ruoxua thought for a moment and felt a little embarrassed. It had been so long since these 2 little fellows were born, but they had actually forgotten to give them names. "Hee hee. Since you don't have a name, Grandpa will give you one. Let's just call him Little Black." After Master Ning finished speaking, he raised his head and looked at First Elder and Leng Ruoxua proudly. "Then you shall be called Little White." The Great Elder was not to be outdone. He thought to himself, "You name me Little Black, and I'll name myself Little White. It'll save us all the trouble." Ah! When Leng Ruoxua heard the names that the 2 of them had come up with, she could not help but feel a few dark streaks rolling down her forehead. She thought to herself, Godfather and Great Elder are really lazy. She had thought that they would give these 2 little fellows a nice name. Who knew that she would call them according to their colors? This was her usual method, okay? This was blatant infringement of copyright. In fact, what she didn't know was that the reason why the master of the Ning family had such a simple name was because he had too many descendants. In the beginning, he would seriously think of names, but as he had more children, he became numb to it, so much so that the names of his descendants were all randomly chosen. As for the Great Elder, he was a lazy person who did things as he pleased. It was harder than ascending to heaven for him to seriously think of a name. In the words of the Great Elder, a name was just a code name, and it didn't matter what it was called. Godfather, Great Elder. Little Black and Little White are both calling out like beasts. Leng Ruoxua sighed softly and reminded him unwillingly. "I see. Then let's call this little fellow Xiao Xiaohe." This way, we'll know who we're referring to. The master of the Ning family thought for a second before saying. Chapter 1526, Instigating, 3, Then you shall be called Xiao Xiaobai. The first elder chuckled. Just like that, the names of the 2 little tigers were confirmed. Leng Ruoxua did not want to argue with them anymore. Let's just call it that. A name was just a code name, she couldn't help but comfort herself. After giving the 2 little fellows their names, Leng Ruoxua and the rest made their way to the competition grounds. The competition venue was arranged in the training ground of the Ning family's main residence. There were 5 training grounds in the Ning family's main residence. Originally, 1 training ground was enough for the competition. However, because of the Ning family's master's golden permission, all the members of the Ning family who met the conditions could participate in the family competition, regardless of whether they were direct or collateral relatives. In this way, 1 training ground was obviously not enough for the competition. The 3rd elder in charge of the family competition, after communicating with the master of the Ning family, arranged a main venue and 4 secondary venues. The main venue was naturally set in the largest training ground of the Ning family. In addition, the Ning family's 5 training grounds were not very far away, so the main stage was set up in the main venue, and the deputy venue only had 3 judges and some audience seats. However, because the initial stage was only the preliminary stage, the 5 venues were held at the same time, and in the middle and late stages of the competition, all the games were held in the main venue. Leng Ruoxue followed the Ning family head to the VIP seats in the main arena. The audience seats were already full. As it was an internal competition, almost all the people who came to watch were from the Ning family. Many of them also wanted to compete, but it was not their turn yet. Although they were family members, they had to know each other. After all, this kind of competition would directly determine their future. So, not only the direct family members, but even the Ning family members from the collateral branch. They were also holding back their energy, wanting to show off in the competition. It must be known that such an opportunity was too rare for them. Shua, do you want to go and compete? Looking at the energetic and high-spirited descendants, Master Ning was very pleased. He then thought of Leng Ruoxue. In fact, he did this to see the difference between his descendants and Leng Ruoxue. After all, in his eyes, other than Shua Er's strength, she was better than his descendants in all aspects. Godfather. I've already accepted Miss Wu's challenge. Leng Ruoxue reminded him with a faint smile. The meaning between the lines was clear, but Master Ning pretended to be stupid. These are 2 different things. It won't hinder you. Master Ning said with a smile. Godfather. I'm only a mid-level deity, so I know my own limits. Leng Ruoxue continued. Ai. This little girl was too cunning. However, seeing that she really didn't want to participate, the master of the Ning family didn't continue to force her. In fact, he knew very well that once this girl had decided on something, no one could force her. She wasn't someone who would easily change her mind, so he could only place his hopes on her and Ning Xier's competition. However, he had arranged for that competition to be at the end. Sob. There was still a long time to wait. Not long after, the competition officially began. Because it was only the preliminary stage, there were not many highlights of the competition. Those who were slightly stronger basically won in 1 move, and those who were equally strong did not fight more than 100 moves. After all, the Ning family's competition was never determined by 1 move, so there was no need for them to continue fighting. However, because the first stage of the competition was relatively easy, those who were slightly relaxed had the opportunity to gossip. The main stage was divided into 2 parts. One part was for the honored guests. Those who were qualified to sit here were basically elders and above. Leng Ruoxue, who was sitting in the middle, was definitely an exception because she was only a mid-stage deity. However, it was the master of the Ning family who brought her here, so even if others had any opinions, they could only keep them in their hearts and not dare to speak out. The other part of the rostrum was located opposite the VIP seats. This south and north were the best seats in the main venue. However, not just any Ning family member was qualified to sit here. Those who could sit here had a certain status in the Ning family, and were even more favored. The 5th daughter of the Ning family, Ning Xi, who had challenged Leng Ruoxue, was also arranged to sit here. However, she was seated in the middle of all the daughters of the Ning family, and she was rather restless. Why was Aunt Yen arranged to sit here? I thought you'd be sitting with the ancestor. Ning Xi said sarcastically as she stared at Leng Ruoxue with jealousy. However, Ning Yen did not respond to her. Aunt Yen is old forefather's favorite daughter. How can old forefather treat Aunt Yen like this? Ning Xi said indignantly. What are you trying to say? Ning Yen lifted her eyelids and asked indifferently. Although she was less than 100 years old, she had a very high seniority. All the maidservants in the family, regardless of their seniority, called her aunt. In fact, this was what she had asked them to call her. After all, she did not want to be called old. Aunt Yen. The ancestor has acknowledged a goddaughter and doted on her a lot, so many people in the clan are saying that you have lost favor. Now that you are sitting here, am afraid that the rumor is about to come true. Ning asked with concern. Do you all think so too? Ning Yan narrowed her eyes and asked the other girls. However, none of the girls dared to answer her because they knew Ning Yan's temper too well and were all afraid of her. They could say this in private, but they didn't dare to say it in front of Ning Yan. It seems like you're the only one who thinks this way. Ning Yan said with a faint smile. Aunt Yan. Many people think so, but they don't dare to say it out loud. However, I can't bear to see Aunt Yan being deceived, so I have to say it. Ning said with a "I'm doing this for your own good" expression. It seems that I have to thank I'm really touched that you're so considerate of me. Ning Yan sneered. She knew what Ning was thinking. Actually, it was not up to them to decide who her father wanted to love. Besides, she was her father's biological daughter. Even if her father loved Leng Ruoxue, how could he not care about her life? Therefore, she had already accepted everything, so why would she fight for this little bit of love? However, Ning a little girl, actually dared to play such a trick on her. Did she really think she was a soft persimmon? She knew that she had been keeping a low profile recently, and even her father had not shown much concern for her. As a result, some snobbish clan members thought that she had fallen out of favor. Now, a little girl even dared to scheme against her. If she did not teach Ning a lesson, would she still be considered the eldest miss of the Ning family in the eyes of outsiders? It's heir's duty to care for Aunt Ning who didn't notice anything strange, tried to hide the pride in her heart. Chapter 1527, The Wicked filed a lawsuit. 1. Aunt will remember heir's good deeds. Ning Yan then focused on the match. After Ning had incited a fight, she realized that Ning Yan seemed to have ignored her words. She was annoyed, but she couldn't urge Ning Yan to find trouble with Leng Ruoxue, so she could only reluctantly suppress her dissatisfaction and watch the competition absent-mindedly, glaring at Leng Ruoxue from time to time. Leng Ruoxue, who was sitting in the VIP area, felt a faint resentful gaze. She raised her beautiful eyes to look at the rostrum opposite her and revealed a faint smile. Godfather. I'm going to see Brother Ning Hai. Leng Ruoxue whispered to Master Ning. Yes, he should be in the third arena. The master of the Ning family said. After he finished speaking, he gave Ning Yan a look. Ning Yan understood and brought Leng Ruoxue to the third arena. When they arrived at the third arena, Leng Ruoxue found Ning Hai's seat and sat down beside him. Ruoxue, you're here. Ning Hai said happily when he saw Leng Ruoxue. Big brother Ning, when are you going to fight? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. I have to wait until the afternoon. However, Ning Shan's match is coming soon. Ning Hai said a little excitedly. The competition this time was divided according to age, and Ning Shan was young, so the competition was naturally ahead of the others. How's his fighting spirit? Leng Ruoxue asked with a chuckle. Ever since she had moved to the forbidden area with her godfather, she had had fewer chances to see Ning Shan. Furthermore, the two of them did not have the chance to speak at the banquet the last time. Hence, she did not know how the little fellow was doing. Very high fighting spirit. However, I've also told him not to underestimate the enemy. Although it's only a competition within the family, there may be accidents. Ning Hai said worriedly. This is only the first stage of the competition. There shouldn't be any problems. Leng Ruoxue consoled him. She knew what Ning Hai was worried about. Although she didn't dare to say that Ning Hai was oversensitive, it would be too uncouth if he used underhanded means on the first day of the competition. I hope so. Ning Hai nodded. Actually, it wasn't that he was worried for nothing. He was more aware than Leng Ruoxue how intense the competition within the great clans was. Many people would do anything to stand out. However, he couldn't say this out loud. After all, this was an internal competition of the Ning family. If he really said it, wouldn't he be a joke? As Leng Ruoxue and Ning Hai chatted, they observed the situation on the stage. Not long after, it was finally Ning Shan's turn to compete. Leng Ruoxue looked at Ning Shan, who was full of fighting spirit, and a faint smile appeared on her lips. Although Ning Shan usually looked like a child, he seemed to be a completely different person when he was on the stage. Furthermore, from what she knew, Ning Shan grew up in the divinity. He was only in his early 20s, but his cultivation had already reached the level of a deity. From this, it could be seen that his aptitude was not ordinary. She knew very well that if Ning Shan's aptitude was ordinary, it would be very difficult for him to stay in the divinity to cultivate. Ning Shan, who was on the arena, was indeed as high-spirited as Leng Ruoxue had said. Furthermore, his opponent was also a deity. However, his abilities were not as strong as his. Hence, he was confident that he could easily win the first match. The opportunity this time was given to them by their old ancestor, so he had to seize it. There were many branch family members in the Ning family. In the past, if the branch family members wanted to have a place in the family, it was difficult to stand out unless they made a great contribution. However, even if they made a great contribution, it was hard to say whether it would fall on their heads. Now, the ancestor had given them a rare opportunity. Therefore, almost all the branch family members were rubbing their fists and wiping their palms, wanting to get a good result in this competition. After all, such an opportunity was too rare for them. Ning Shan was full of confidence. The fire attribute divine power in his hand danced in the air like a dazzling fire dragon. The repeated attacks quickly forced his opponent to have nowhere to hide. When his opponent saw that he was losing, his opponent, who thought that he was unaware and did not notice, raised his hand and a light blue divine power floated towards Ning Shan. In the next second, Ning Shan covered his eyes and fell to the ground. Arg! My eyes hurt. Ning Shan, who had fallen to the ground, could not help but cry out in pain, while his opponent stood on the ring proudly, as if it was none of his business. Shan, Seeing Ning Shan's appearance, Ning Hai, who was sitting in the audience, stood up immediately and was about to rush to the ring. Big brother Ning. You can't go up. Leng Ruoxue, who had also stood up, pulled back the impulsive Ning Hai. If Big Brother Ning rushed up to the ring now, people might make a fuss about it. She didn't want Big Brother Ning to lose this rare opportunity to show his face. Ruoxue. Shan, Ning Hai's heart was burning with anxiety as he tried to break free from Leng Ruoxue's grasp and rush up to the arena. I'll go see him, don't worry. With me around, he won't be in any trouble. Leng Ruoxue consoled. After hearing Leng Ruoxue's words, the anxious Ning Hai miraculously calmed down. He had complete trust in Leng Ruoxue and nodded at her. Then, he watched as Leng Ruoxue walked up the stage. In the competition arena, the other matches were still ongoing. Furthermore, this was only the first match. Hence, there were not many people watching. Hence, many people did not notice the small incident that happened on Ning Shan's challenge ring. It was only when Leng Ruoxue walked up the challenge ring calmly that everyone's attention was drawn over. Although many people had only met this adopted daughter of the ancestor once, for the Ning family, the nouveau riche by the ancestor's side was something they could not ignore. However, at this moment, most of the people did not know why Leng Ruoxue had walked onto the stage. It was because the competition had yet to end, and this was against the rules. After Leng Ruoxue walked up to the stage, she first checked on Ning Shan's injuries. At this moment, Ning Shan's face was already covered in blood and he looked like he was drenched in blood. Furthermore, fresh blood was flowing out from his eyes continuously. Ning Shan, who was rolling on the ground in pain, felt someone approaching him and instinctively grabbed onto Leng Ruoxue's sleeve. He kept on shouting, "It hurts. It hurts. Shan, Don't be afraid. With me here, you'll be fine." Leng Ruoxue held Ning Shan's hand and consoled him. "Sister. Ruoxue. I'm in pain. Am I blind?" Ning Shan said fearfully. "Don't be silly. I won't let anything happen to you." Leng Ruoxue promised. With that, she took out an elixir and stuffed it into Ning Shan's mouth. This elixir was used to treat internal injuries. After Ning Shan ate the elixir, his injuries would not hurt as much. However, from the outside, his injuries were still shocking. Blood was also flowing out from his eyes. Then, Leng Ruoxue turned her gaze to Ning Shan's opponent. Ning Shan's opponent was a young man who looked to be in his early 20s. He was quite handsome, but the arrogant expression on his face made it impossible for people to have a good impression of him. Not only that, but he was also looking at Ning Shan with disdain. His gaze towards Leng Ruoxue was not very friendly either. Chapter 1528, The Wicked filed a lawsuit. 2. Judge, can you announce the result now? The young man looked away and turned to the judge. The judge looked at Leng Ruoxue, his innocent eyes filled with embarrassment. He really wanted to announce the results of the competition, but he was afraid that Leng Ruoxue would have an opinion. Hence, it was not appropriate for him to announce the results immediately. After all, he had not figured out Leng Ruoxue's motive for coming up. Furthermore, this woman was someone he could not afford to offend. Hence, he remained silent. The person who was competing with Ning Shan was a direct descendant of the Ning family. His elder held a high position in the Ning family. He was not someone that a small judge like him could afford to offend. Furthermore, Leng Ruoxue was old Grand Madame's goddaughter. He could not afford to offend her. Wu, what should he do? Originally, Ning Shan was from a branch family and did not have any strong backing. If nothing went wrong, he could have directly decided the outcome of the competition. However, an accident happened. Leng Ruoxue's interference made him not know what to do. Has the competition ended? Leng Ruoxue asked with a smile. Of course it's over. Before the judge could answer, the young man spoke first. You're the judge. Leng Ruoxue's beautiful face was filled with confusion. Of course I'm not. The young man said through gritted teeth. He knew that nothing good would come from this woman's visit, and he, who did not want to cause any more trouble, had met with an accident. What he did not expect even more was that Ning Shan, who he thought did not have any background, would actually have Leng Ruoxue as a backer. However, so what if she was the elder ancestor's goddaughter? She was still an outsider. How could she reach her hand into the Ning family's head? Moreover, it wasn't as if he didn't have any backing. When he thought of this, he didn't take Leng Ruoxue too seriously. Since you're not the judge, how can you say that the game is over? Leng Ruoxue said with a hint of mockery. As it was only the preliminary round, the Ning family had only arranged for one judge to decide the outcome. In reality, the so-called judge was just for show. After all, it was easy to determine the outcome of this kind of internal competition. The purpose of setting up the judge was to be a witness and to prevent any disputes between the two sides. It was rare for a fight to the death to happen in a family competition. Many people would take the initiative to follow the rules of the competition. However, it did not rule out the possibility that there would be a small number of people who would ignore the rules. Hence, the role of the judges would be revealed at this time. What Leng Ruoxue said was just to highlight the position of the judges. Even if it's a family competition, there's a time limit. He's already been on the ground for more than 15 minutes, so the competition is naturally over. The young man said matter-of-factly. Is that so? Leng Ruoxue laughed coldly as her beautiful eyes swept across the young man. Her gaze caused the young man's heart to tremble as an ominous feeling slowly rose in his heart. He did not know what Leng Ruoxue was up to. That collateral relative had been lying on the ground for more than 15 minutes, and everyone's eyes were bright. At this moment, it was reasonable for the judge to announce Ning Shan's loss. Even if Leng Ruoxue wanted to stand up for Ning Shan, it was unlikely that she could turn the tables. However, for some reason, he had a bad feeling in his heart, which made him feel very uneasy. Of course. The young man held on. At this moment, his heart was already drenched in cold sweat. He had not expected Leng Ruoxue to give him so much pressure. This was too abnormal. In that case, I'd like to ask the judge, did the rules of the competition say that we're not allowed to win by using improper means? When Leng Ruoxue heard the young man's words, she turned her head to the judge at the side. There are. The judge wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and spoke the truth. Although there was such a rule in the competition, whether or not it could be followed depended on the person. In addition, if someone violated the rules of the competition, there must be sufficient evidence. Otherwise, everything would be empty talk. However, if anyone wanted to use improper means in the competition, how could they be easily discovered? Hence, this rule was practically non-existent. However, since Leng Ruoxue had asked, he had no choice but to answer. If someone is found to be using improper means, how will they be dealt with? Leng Ruoxue continued to ask. The person involved will be disqualified from the competition. Furthermore, the family will also punish him. The judge whispered in fear. Then please disqualify this person from the competition. Leng Ruoxue said coldly. The cold glint in her beautiful eyes was like a blade as it shot towards the young man. Don't you dare. The young man roared in anger as he glared at Leng Ruoxue. Isn't that the rule of the competition? You have to be a good child who follows the rules. Otherwise, you'll be unlucky. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. What right do you have to make him cancel my match? You said I broke the rules, where's the evidence? The young man said, unwilling to give up. You're wrong. I didn't ask him to cancel your competition. It's because you violated the rules of the competition. As for the evidence, if you want it, I'll give it to you. Leng Ruoxue laughed lightly, but in her heart, she despised this man. This guy really wouldn't give up until he reached the Yellow River. Did he really think that he could not find any evidence? The judge on the side listened to the two people's verbal battle and wanted to cry but had no tears. How could he be so unlucky to meet these two people? Why was it that everyone else's arena was safe and sound, but something had happened to his own? Moreover, these two parties were people he could not afford to offend. Sigh. What should he do? He was at a loss. Then show me the evidence. Otherwise, I'll sue you for false accusation. Even if you have the ancestor's support, I'll still beg the ancestor to give me an explanation. The young man said hatefully, but he wasn't worried at all. He was certain that Leng Ruoxue wouldn't be able to find any evidence. Miss Leng, please show us the evidence. Otherwise, I can only conclude that Ning Duan has won. At this time, the conflicted judge also spoke. At this moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on Leng Ruoxue, but most of them were waiting to watch a good show. At the same time, in an unremarkable corner of the audience, two extremely handsome men were also observing the situation on Leng Ruoxue's arena. Hey! What do you think is going on? Did that Ning Duan really use improper methods? Qing Xian asked with a face full of curiosity. He looked at Leng Ruoxue with eyes full of interest. Isn't that normal? Don't tell me that your Qing family doesn't have these messy things. Ning Haolan, who was standing beside him, asked in disbelief. Hee. There's no need to say it out loud. Qing Xian said a little awkwardly. Living in a big family, who didn't have some tricks up their sleeves? If he had been so honest, he probably wouldn't have survived. However, I'm very curious if that beauty can find any evidence. Since that Ning Duan used some sort of method, it won't be so easy to find him. Qing Xian said. Just keep watching and you'll know. Ning Haolan said with a smile. Chapter 1529, The Wicked filed a lawsuit. 3. By the way, who's that beauty? How come I didn't know that your Ning family had such a stunning beauty? Qing Xian asked with great interest. If I'm not wrong, she should be the goddaughter acknowledged by the ancestor. Ning Haolan said after some thought. Arg. Then wouldn't you have to call her great-aunt? That woman looks very young. Qing Xian was surprised, but at the same time, he was also gloating. You have to call her great-aunt too. Ning Haolan rolled his eyes at Qing Xian and reminded him. TSK. She's not even a member of my Qing family, why should I call her great-aunt? Qing Xian felt a chill run down his spine. He couldn't let Ning Haolan get in his way at this point, or he'd be the one to die. Because she's the goddaughter of my family's ancestor. She's very senior. Ning Haolan laughed evilly. He didn't mind having another woman like her, but he knew that Qing Xian wouldn't be happy about it, so he tried his best to use this to hurt him. That's none of my business, right? Qing Xian was a little speechless. He thought to himself, what does your ancestor's goddaughter have to do with me, a member of the Qing family? It wasn't like the Qing family's ancestor acknowledged him. What if your ancestor introduces her to your ancestor? Ning Haolan said with a smile. Ah. Qing Xian didn't know what to say, because he knew that it wasn't impossible. Let's see how your ancestor's goddaughter will solve this problem. Qing Xian didn't want to discuss Leng Ruoxu's seniority anymore, so he changed the topic to the arena. All right. Ning Haolan smiled. Actually, he was quite interested in Leng Ruoxue. On the stage, Leng Ruoxue did not directly produce any evidence. Instead, her beautiful eyes were fixed on Ning Duan, making him feel uncomfortable. Hurry up and show us the evidence. Don't delay other people's matches. Ning Duan felt his hair stand on end and couldn't help but roar. What's the rush? Are you feeling guilty? The smile on Leng Ruoxu's lips bloomed, instantly captivating the eyes of countless people. Ning Duan, who was the closest to her, also had a dazed look on his face, unable to regain his senses for a long time. By the time he came back to his senses, he realized that he had been mesmerized by Leng Ruoxu's smile. The anger in his heart surged up in an instant, and he could not accept the fact that Leng Ruoxue was in a daze. Who asked him to already have someone he liked? And Leng Ruoxue happened to be the person that person hated the most. Hurry up and show us the evidence. Ning Duan urged in annoyance. Since you're so eager, I'll fulfill your wish. Leng Ruoxue smiled and walked to Ning Shan's side. She helped him up and said to everyone, I believe that everyone's eyes are clear. The previous situation was very favorable to Ning Shan, and he was sure to win. However, he suddenly fell to the ground. This is not because young Master Ning Duan suddenly showed his power, but because he used an improper method, because he poisoned Ning Shan. Don't you slander me with your nonsense. Do you have evidence? Ning Duan roared, his face filled with grievance. Everyone, you'll know if you look at Ning Shan's eyes. His eyes have been injured by poison, and the blood flowing out now is black. As Leng Ruoxue spoke, she raised Ning Shan's head. Instantly, the black blood on Ning Shan's face was revealed to everyone. Furthermore, the blood on Ning Shan's face was a mix of red and black, making him look even more horrifying. Ah! The people who saw this couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Ning Hai was even more patient and didn't rush up to the ring directly because he believed in Ruoxue. He believed that she wouldn't let her brother suffer. Sigh. As an elder brother, he was really too useless. Just because he didn't like some people in the family, he had left home for many years. Until now, he had achieved nothing. He couldn't give his parents and younger brother a support. When he thought of this, his heart ached as if it was being cut by a knife. However, at this moment, he was determined to have his own place in the family. This family competition was his greatest opportunity, so he must grasp it well. This can't prove that I was the one who poisoned her. Ning Duan said unhurriedly when he saw this. Moreover, there was no panic on his face at all. Why can't I? You're the one who injured him. Leng Ruoxue indifferently reminded. Isn't it normal to get injured in battle? What's the big deal? Ning Duan's face was full of disapproval. His words clearly meant that Leng Ruoxue was making a mountain out of a molehill. Not only is Ning Shan injured, but he's also poisoned. Otherwise, it's hard to say who would win this game. Leng Ruoxue said calmly. I admit that I injured him by accident, but his poisoning has nothing to do with me. Ning Duan said, trying to deny himself. Then who is it related to? Leng Ruoxue asked with a half-smile. How would I know? Besides, who can prove that he was poisoned when he was fighting with me? Didn't you give him a pill? I was going to say that you were the one who poisoned me, and that you came here to frame me. Ning Duan said with a hint of provocation as he looked at Leng Ruoxue with a smug look. It was a good thing he did not panic, or else he would have fallen into this woman's trap. As soon as he finished speaking, the crowd in the audience could not help but start to discuss softly. In fact, quite a number of people even felt that what Ning Duan said made sense, and the way they looked at Leng Ruoxue also became subtle. This time, your great aunt is in trouble. Not only did she not seek justice for that little guy, but she also became a suspect. Poor thing. Qing Xian, who was sitting in the corner, said on purpose. His handsome face was full of sympathy. Put away your fake kindness. She doesn't need your sympathy. Ning Haolan replied calmly. Actually, he was more curious about how Leng Ruoxue was going to turn the situation around. It was obvious to all that she had fed Ning Shan a pill, and she could not deny it. With this handle, Ning Duan would definitely not let it go. Hence, he wanted to know how Leng Ruoxue was going to deal with it. However, the great ancestor would not take in a brainless goddaughter, so he still had some confidence in Leng Ruoxue. I'm really kind and I really pity her. The current situation seemed to be very disadvantageous to her. If Ning Duan really wanted to put a basin of shit on her head, who do you think your Ning clansmen would believe? Now, not only did Leng Ruoxue have to prove that the little guy's poison was poisoned by Ning, but she also had to prove her innocence. Otherwise, just the crime of framing a direct descendant of the Ning family was enough to make her suffer. When that time came, even the Ning family's old ancestor would not be able to protect her. What you know if you keep watching? Ning Haolan said. He still believed that Leng Ruoxue would have a solution. After Ning Haolan finished speaking, the two of them stopped talking. Instead, they turned their attention back to the arena, continuing to observe the development of the situation. That sounds reasonable. However, I can't get my hands on the medicine. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue, who was on the stage, was still very calm. Chapter 1530, Making the Antidote, 1. After the judge heard Leng Ruoxue's words, he looked at the poison that Ning Shan had been poisoned. He then turned around and left the arena. He was very clear that this was not something he could handle. Not long after, the third elder arrived at the arena with the judge. What's going on? The third elder asked, feigning ignorance. On the way here, the judge had already briefly reported the situation to him. This matter had given him quite a headache. Furthermore, he did not dare to let the old grand madam know about this. After all, it involved Leng Ruoxue, and he was afraid that the old grand madam would be angry. Hence, according to his original intention, he wanted to minimize the matter. Third grandpa. She poisoned a member of the Ning family and wanted to push the blame to me. Without waiting for Leng Ruoxue to speak, Ning Duan accused her. The third elder frowned at Ning Duan's words, clearly somewhat displeased. What does young lady Leng have to say? Third elder ignored Ning Duan and asked Leng Ruoxue instead. Ning Duan used abnormal methods in the competition in an attempt to win. I hope that third elder can handle this fairly and disqualify him. Leng Ruoxue's tone was cold. She did not mention anything about Ning Shan being poisoned at all because she believed that this old man would know about it. What evidence do you have? You poisoned this guy and then wrongly accused me. Humph. Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. You just want to help him, don't you? If you're not as good as him, you've lost. You can't even afford to lose. Our Ning family doesn't have such a clansman. Ning Duan yelled at the top of his lungs, his voice even choked up as if he had truly suffered a great grievance. Leng Ruoxue looked at his dramatic performance without saying a word. However, a cold smile surfaced in her heart. Could it be that this fellow thought that by pretending to be wronged, this matter would be over? Humph. In your dreams. As the third elder listened to Ning Duan's seemingly aggrieved words, he gradually began to feel irritated. What the hell is this? Why did he have to do it? Although he really didn't want to get involved in this matter, he couldn't just leave it be. After all, the adopted daughter of the ancestor was also involved. Ning Duan. Don't speak first, I want to hear what Miss Leng has to say. The third elder sighed and slowly said. Miss Leng, what is your explanation for Ning Duan's words? The third elder asked again. Third elder, first take a look at what poison Ning Shan has been poisoned with. Leng Ruoxue suggested. All right. The third elder nodded, then bent down to examine Ning Shan carefully. After a long time, he stood up with a serious face. It's the soul forgetfulness. Third elder, do you know where this poison is from? Leng Ruoxue asked again. This soul forgetting is the unique poison of our Ning family. The third elder replied honestly. The so-called forget the soul naturally meant to forget everything. To put it bluntly, this poison was not fatal, but it would turn people into fools. And this medicine, in the divine world, no one except the Ning family could concoct it. Therefore, it was not an exaggeration to say that it was the unique medicine of the Ning family. However, the forgotten soul had always been used by the Ning family to punish people who had committed a serious crime. Not to mention the collateral branch, even the direct line could not have it casually. Moreover, the Ning family had always been very strict with the management of the forgotten soul, so it was not easy to withdraw it. Therefore, the third elder could not understand how the forgotten soul could appear in the Ning family's family competition. When the crowd heard that Ning Shan had been poisoned with soul loss, they knew that it was impossible for Leng Ruoxue to be the one who poisoned him. However, someone did not think so. You actually used soul forgetting on a member of the Ning family. You're so bold. When Ning Duan heard that the poison was soul forgetting, he was also a little dumbfounded. However, after he regained his senses, he was very clear that he had to let Leng Ruoxue take the blame now. Otherwise, the Ning family would not let him off. Therefore, he had no intention of letting Leng Ruoxue go. Soul forgetting is your Ning family's unique poison. Where can I get it? Leng Ruoxue looked at Ning Duan with a mocking expression. You are the goddaughter of our ancestor. If you want to get Wang Hun, do you think you can't get it? Ning Duan questioned loudly. His words caused everyone to become suspicious of Leng Ruoxue again because what Ning Duan said was right. Old Grand Madam loved this goddaughter so much. If she wanted to obtain the Ning family's forgotten soul, it would not be difficult. So, you're suspecting that my godfather is a traitor? Leng Ruoxue looked at Ning Duan and asked with a cold gaze. I didn't mean that. What I meant was that you can get the forgotten soul. Ning Duan was shocked and hurriedly explained. All right. Let's assume that I can get the soul-forgetting item, but what about you? As a direct descendant of the Ning family and having lived there for so many years, wouldn't it be easier for you to succeed than me, who has only been here for a few days? Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes scanned the surroundings before finally settling on Ning Duan. Don't you accuse me. How could I get the forgotten soul? Third elder, you can't just stand by and watch this woman malign me. You have to speak for me. Ning Duan stammered as he looked at the third elder with an aggrieved expression. Miss Leng, Ning Duan, you don't need to argue. The forgotten soul is a unique poison of our Ning family. The control is very strict, and ordinary clansmen can't get it. Moreover, there is a record of anyone who has taken the forgotten soul. I will send someone to investigate and find out who took it. The third elder said helplessly. Good. Third elder, please send someone to investigate. Leng Ruoxue agreed. Third elder, you have to prove my innocence. Ning Duan also said. When he heard that the third elder was going to send someone to the warehouse to check the records, his heart actually relaxed. Because he had not sent anyone to retrieve the medicine, he naturally did not worry that he would be blamed. The third elder nodded, then sent a guard to the warehouse to check and retrieve the records. Not long after, the guard returned. Looking at the third elder, the guard's face turned awkward, not knowing how to start. Seeing the guard hesitating to speak, the third elder anxiously said, "Did you find out? Who has used the forgotten soul recently?" The guard nodded and had no choice but to speak under the watchful eyes of the crowd. "I've found it. Who is it?" The third elder asked anxiously. He was worried to death when he saw the guard hesitating. "Yesterday, the young master sent someone to the warehouse to retrieve the forgotten soul," the guard said carefully. The guard's words made the third elder dumbfounded. Why did the young master get involved? Fuck. It wasn't enough to get Leng Ruoxue involved, but now they had to drag their young master into this as well. What the hell was this? In fact, not only was he surprised, but many of the Ning family members present were also surprised because this result was really beyond their expectations. However, before the truth was revealed, they still planned to be patient and continue watching. As for Ning Haolan, who was sitting in the corner, his expression turned unfathomable when he heard the guard's words. He pursed his lips tightly and a dark light flashed in his eyes, making it impossible for anyone to tell what he was thinking. Chapter 1531, Refining the Antidote, 2, You've sent someone to retrieve the forgotten soul? Qing Xian asked curiously. Ning Haolan turned around and smiled faintly. Then, he stood up and walked towards the arena. "Hey!" Qing Xian was about to call out to Ning Haolan, but after a second thought, he stood up and headed straight for the ring. At this moment, third elder, who was in a dilemma and had a headache, felt his head throb when he saw Ning Haolan. "Young master! What are you doing here?" The third elder asked, forcing himself to remain calm. "Third elder, I've been here since the start of the competition," Ning Haolan said with a faint smile. It was hard to tell whether he was happy or angry. After he finished speaking with third elder, he bent down to check on Ning Shan's injuries. Then, he stood up and said, "It's really soul-forgetting, young master. I've ordered the guards to go to the storeroom." The third elder did not finish his sentence, but he believed that Ning Haolan would understand what he meant. "Third elder, you don't have to say anything. I didn't send anyone to retrieve the forgotten soul." Ning Haolan went straight to the point. Ning Haolan's words seemed to be within third elder's expectations. He turned to the guard and asked, "What did the people in the warehouse say?" The people in the warehouse said that it was young master's attendant who went to retrieve the soul, the guard said hurriedly. After he finished speaking, he lowered his head timidly. "Woo. The young master wouldn't hold a grudge against him, right? He was telling the truth." "My personal attendant? Which one?" Ning Haolan asked softly. "It's Ning Wen," the guard said. "Call Ning Wen over. Tell him that I have something to ask him." Ning Haolan ordered the guard coldly. "Yes." The guard responded and turned to leave the arena. "Third elder, don't worry. We'll know everything once we ask Ning Wen," Ning Haolan said with a faint smile. Then, he shifted his gaze to Leng Ruoxue and sized her up. It was undeniable that the woman in front of him was the most beautiful one he had ever seen. Be it her looks or temperament, she was the best. Furthermore, she had an innate pride. In fact, he couldn't even feel the slightest sense of superiority in front of her. In short, Leng Ruoxue was an outstanding woman. Other than her low cultivation, he couldn't find any flaws. As Ning Haolan sized up Leng Ruoxue, she did the same to him. She had heard the name of the Ning family's young master, Ning Haolan, from the great elder and godfather many times. However, this was her first time meeting Ning Haolan. She had not seen the genius young master of the Ning family in the divine mainland. Not only was Ning Haolan extremely handsome, but he also had outstanding talent. He was now a god king and was one of the best among the younger generation of the Ning family. He was also the leader of the younger generation. It was said that many of the younger members of the Ning family idolized him. However, he was now involved in the Forgotten Soul incident, so it was unknown if his prestige in the Ning family would be affected. Even though there was evidence that Ning Haolan had sent someone to retrieve the soul, she did not believe that he would use it in a family competition. If this was not Ning Haolan's order, then someone must have used his name to retrieve the soul. The reason she did not suspect that Ning Duan had sent someone to retrieve the forgotten soul was because she believed that Ning Duan did not have such great authority. After waiting for a long time, the guard returned by himself. Young master, Ning Wen is missing. The guard reported the truth, but he was extremely depressed in his heart. Wu! How could he have encountered such a thing? He hoped that the young master would not blame him. What do you mean by gone? Ning Haolan frowned and asked in confusion. This subordinate has searched the entire land garden, but there is no trace of Ning Wen. The guard said honestly. Young master has arranged for Ning Wen to handle some matters. The third elder couldn't help but ask. No, you're still looking for it. We must find him. Ning Haolan ordered the guard. Yes. The guard responded, but he was depressed in his heart. After the guard turned around and left, third elder looked at Leng Ruoxue and Ning Haolan and said, Young lady Leng, young master, let Ning Shan and Ning Duan withdraw first. Let's not delay the rest of the competition. Yes. The two of them nodded. Then, Ning Haolan summoned 2 guards and carried Ning Shan away. Before the matter was cleared up, he ordered for Ning Duan to be kept under guard. After carrying Ning Shan to the guest room, Ning Hai quickly ran in and stayed by his brother's bed, not leaving. Seeing this, Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes turned towards Ning Haolan and she spoke indifferently. How does young master Ning plan to deal with this matter? Naturally, I will report it to the public. Does Miss Leng believe that I didn't send anyone to retrieve the forgotten soul? Ning Haolan couldn't help but ask. It doesn't matter if I believe it or not. However, we can't just let the matter of Ning Shan go like this. Leng Ruoxue said coldly as a killing intent flashed across her eyes. I will give Ning Shan justice. Ning Haolan sighed. I hope so, Leng Ruoxue nodded. Actually, she did not care if Ning Haolan could really seek justice for Ning Shan. Even if Ning Haolan wanted to protect someone, she was not afraid because she had her godfather. Don't worry. Haolan is a man of his word. At this moment, Qing Xian jumped out from who knows where and promised. I'm his good friend, Qing Xian. Without waiting for Leng Ruoxue to ask, he introduced himself in a familiar manner. Leng Ruoxue. Leng Ruoxue looked at the handsome man who seemed to be very friendly with her. A few drops of cold sweat dripped down her forehead, and she was speechless. This man was exceptionally handsome, and his looks were no less than her brother's. However, she could not quite accept his friendly personality, and he kept winking at her. If he was not Ning Haolan's friend, she would not have been so kind to him. I know, you're Haolan's great-aunt. Qing Xian had touched a sore spot. Leng Ruoxue and Ning Haolan were both speechless after he finished speaking. Great-aunt? She doesn't want to be some grand-aunt, Leng Ruoxue could not help but mutter to herself. She was unusually repulsed by this form of address in her heart. However, Ning Haolan's mental fortitude was clearly above hers. Other than feeling a little awkward, he did not have any other thoughts. She's the goddaughter of the Ning family's ancestor. Her seniority is there for all to see. So, even if you don't want to be a great-aunt, you can tea. As if he knew what Leng Ruoxue was thinking, Qing Xian laughed evilly. I only acknowledge him as my godfather. The rest of the Ning family has nothing to do with me, so there's no need to be particular about this. Leng Ruoxue said calmly. She could tell that this Qing Xian was just waiting to make a fool of himself. However, how could she let him do as he wished? At that moment, the guards who were sent to look for Ning Wen returned and diverted their attention. Young master. Ning Wen is not in the main residence. I heard from the guards that he left the main city late last night. The guard reported. Chapter 1532, Refining the Antidote, 3, Ning Haolan's heart began to burn with anger at the guard's words. He knew that Ning Wen was most likely involved in this matter, but why would Ning Wen use his name to retrieve the soul? Could it be that someone in the clan was forcing him? And who would have the guts to force his attendant to do such a thing? He really didn't want to live anymore. It seems that young Master Ning's attendant has fled for fear of punishment. After Len Ruoxue heard the guard's words, she spoke indifferently. Don't worry, Miss Leng. I'll send someone to find Ning Wen. Ning Haolan consoled. What about Ning Shan? And how will Ning Duan be dealt with? Len Ruoxue did not care about Ning Wen's whereabouts, but she could not let Ning Shan lie on the bed like this. Miss Leng, there's no antidote for the sulfur-getting pill. As for Ning Duan, I can only send people to keep an eye on him before the matter is investigated. However, I can't disqualify him from the competition. Ning Haolan said with some difficulty. Ning Duan Sr. was an elder in the clan, so unless there was sufficient evidence, he could not disqualify Ning Duan from the competition, nor could he punish him. I understand. What about Ning Shan? Even though Len Ruoxue was a little disappointed by Ning Haolan's words, she knew very well what he was thinking. He was thinking that there was not enough evidence. Hence, it would be difficult to deal with Ning Duan. She could put Ning Duan aside for now, but she could not do the same to Ning Shan. Therefore, she needed an explanation from Ning Haolan. Otherwise, she would have to look for her godfather. Ning Shan. The family will send people to take care of him in the future. With me around, I won't let anyone bully him. Ning Haolan said after some thought. He knew that Len Ruoxue might not be satisfied with what he had said, but he had no better idea because there was no antidote for the forgotten soul. He has hands and feet, he doesn't need anyone to take care of him. Len Ruoxue said, slightly annoyed. Miss Leng, there is no antidote for the sulfur-getting pill. Moreover, after taking the sulfur-getting pill, it will turn a normal person into a fool. So, it will be very difficult for him to leave people's side in the future. Ning Haolan explained patiently. I want the formula for soul-forgetting, Len Ruoxue said coldly. Even though Ning Haolan had said that there was no antidote for the forgotten soul, she still wanted to try and see if she could concoct an antidote. She did not want Ning Shan to turn into an idiot and did not believe that there was no antidote. After all, everything had its counter. The lack of an antidote could only mean that it had not been concocted yet, but it did not mean that it did not exist. The formula for soul forgetting is a secret of the Ning family. We won't give it to anyone. Ning Haolan said helplessly. Not to anyone. Len Ruoxue repeated. Then, she walked to Ning Hai's side and whispered a few words into his ear before leaving the guest room. After Len Ruoxue left, Qing Xian looked at Ning Haolan curiously and asked, guess what she said to Ning Shan's brother? Why are you so gossipy? Ning Haolan rolled his eyes at Qing Xian and said unhappily. Actually, he didn't need to guess to know that Len Ruoxue had probably consoled Ning Hai and was now looking for the old ancestor. Hee. I'm just curious. Qing Xian didn't think much of it and said with a smile. Curiosity killed the cat. Just mind your own business, the Ning family's joke isn't that good. Ning Haolan warned. What, could it be that you want to silence me? Qing Xian's handsome face was full of provocation, not taking Ning Haolan's words seriously at all. It's hard to say, Ning Haolan left the guest room as well. Hey! Wait for me, please. Seeing Ning Haolan leave, Qing Xian quickly chased after him. On the way back to the competition grounds, Qing Xian pestered Ning Haolan again. Something happened in the first match, how can you still be in the mood to go back and watch the game? I think you should quickly find the person who framed you and prove your innocence. Didn't I already send people to look for him? If I can't find Ning Wen, there's no point in me worrying. Besides, I'm not the one who asked Ning Wen to retrieve the forgotten soul. Ning Haolan's expression was nonchalant. What's the point of saying that you didn't ask Ning Wen to get it? If someone really wants to take advantage of this matter, I'm afraid you won't be able to explain yourself even if you have 100 mouths. Let's see what you can do then. Qing Xian said gloomily, sigh. Was this considered as the eunuch being anxious when the emperor was not? Compared to the person in question, he seemed a little unsettled. There are so many clansmen in the Ning family, not all of them are blind. Besides, there's still the old forefather. What am I afraid of? Let's go. Let's continue watching the match. If there's another one who poisoned it, well, deal with them as well. Ning Haolan said with a smile. You wish. One is already enough to give you a headache. If there's another one, the Ning family will be in chaos. Qing Xian said with a look of disdain. After he finished speaking, the two of them walked into the arena. Even after the competition had ended, they did not see Leng Ruoxue. Lan Garden. Late at night 3 days later. Qing Xian sat on a stone chair in the courtyard, counting the stars in the sky out of boredom. He would sigh at the calm Ning Haolan from time to time, but after the nth time, the latter finally spoke up. You've been sighing the entire night. What do you want? Ning Haolan was a little speechless. Actually, he knew very well why Qing Xian was sighing, but he didn't really want to respond to him, so he could only play dumb. Leng Ruoxue is missing, the competition is suspended, and Ning Wen is still missing. Are we just going to sit here and do nothing? Qing Xian said gloomily. He had thought that he would be able to watch a good show, but who knew that Leng Ruoxue had not appeared again after she left that day. There was no progress in the poisoning incident either. Furthermore, the Ning family's old ancestor had ordered a temporary suspension of the competition. He really did not know what that old man was up to. He was so curious that it was as if a cat lived in his heart, scratching his heart and liver every day. What else do you want to do if you don't stay? Ning Haolan asked with a faint smile. Although the old ancestor did not ask about the poisoning incident, he had ordered the competition to be suspended. The meaning behind it was self-evident. He knew very well that this was all because of Leng Ruoxue. He didn't expect her to have such a position in the old ancestor's heart. He was a little jealous. Go and test your old ancestor's words. Let's see what he's going to do. When will the competition resume? Qing Xian suggested, but his words caught Ning Haolan's attention. Young Master Cheng, this seems to be my family's competition, right? We're not in a hurry, so why are you? What was the saying again? Oh. That's right, don't be a busybody. Do you want to be a dog? Ning Haolan could not help but tease. If you're really too bored, I can send a message to your ancestor and tell him that you're at my house. How is it? Ning Haolan suggested. You dare. If you dare to betray me, I will not let you off. Qing Xian's expression changed as he glared at Ning Haolan. Then, how long do you plan to hide? Ning Haolan raised an eyebrow. The main reason why Qing Xian had returned to the Ning family with him was to avoid the pursuit of the old ancestor of the Qing family. That old man had nothing better to do, so he had ideas about the marriage of his junior. Qing Xian had been so scared that he didn't even dare to return home. Chapter 1533, Refining the Antidote, 4, He'll go back when he changes his mind. You're not allowed to sell me out. Qing Xian warned. But I think it's more interesting to betray you. Ning Haolan's face was full of regret. You. Have you forgotten our friendship? If you betray me, I will definitely drag you down with me. Qing Xian made up his mind and said ruthlessly. Are you threatening me? Ning Haolan was speechless. N. Qing Xian nodded his head heavily, a smug smile still on his face. Little Lan Lan, I think we're all in the same boat. So, you can't do anything that would harm others and not benefit yourself. Qing Xian hugged Ning Haolan's arm and spoke in a coquettish tone. I'll consider it. Ning Haolan said indifferently. There's no need to think about it. If you dare to betray me, I'll definitely reveal our relationship. Qing Xian said with a smile. What's our relationship? Ning Haolan was confused, and his handsome face was full of question marks. We're very close. Qing Xian's smile was ambiguous. Don't talk nonsense. Qing Xian's words made Ning Haolan jump 3 times, and he broke out in a cold sweat. I'm going to see the ancestor. Ning Haolan said, then disappeared. Don't forget to get some information. I'll be waiting for you. Qing Xian shouted into the air. The servant beside him looked at his young master with sympathy. Poor young master. Your love life will be very bumpy, look. He had scared young master Ning away. Ning Haolan heard Qing Xian's words, but he could only pretend that he didn't hear them. After all, it wasn't that easy to get information from the old master. If they angered the old master, the entire Ning family would be in deep trouble. After they arrived at the forbidden grounds in the back mountain, Ning Haolan made his way slowly to the old grand madame's courtyard after reporting his arrival. At this time, the master of the Ning family and the first elder were sitting in the courtyard and drinking tea. When he saw Ning Haolan, Master Ning's eyes twitched and he asked indifferently, "What are you doing here? Is there something important?" "I'm only here to see the ancestor," Ning Haolan said. "Now that you've seen it, you can go back," the master of the Ning family said coldly. Ah! Was he driving her away just like that? Ning Haolan thought to himself gloomily. The old master doesn't want me anymore now that he has a new lover. This was a blatant case of liking the new over the old. Why was his life so bitter? He hadn't seen the old ancestor for a few days, and he didn't let him sit down even once before he was driven away. Hee hee. Haolan's here to see you, so you should at least let him sit for a while. First elder tried to smooth things over when he saw the depressed Ning Haolan. Hearing first elder speak up for him, Ning Haolan was so touched that he was about to cry. First elder was so understanding. Woo! The old ancestor had a heart of stone. What's there to sit on? I'm annoyed, the master of the Ning family said unhappily. He had been annoyed these days because his precious goddaughter had actually given him a hard time. Therefore, he was in a very bad mood, and these descendants of the Ning family just happened to become the target of his venting. If old forefather has any troubles, you can tell Haolan. Who knows, Haolan might be able to help you, Ning Haolan said carefully. People always said that a woman's heart was as hard as the sea. In his opinion, the old ancestor's heart was the true needle at the bottom of the sea. The low pressure in the Ning family these few days had made many people breathless. Solve my worries. These unfilial descendants of the Ning family, they'll be lucky if they don't anger me to death, the master of the Ning family said angrily. Ancestor. Anger is harmful to the body, Ning Haolan said softly. Actually, he knew that the old ancestor was angry because someone had poisoned him during the family competition. However, they had yet to find the key witness, Ning Wen, so he had no way of finding the real mastermind behind Ning Wen. You don't have to tell me that. Go and do your business, the master of the Ning family urged. Yes, ancestor. I'll take my leave first, Ning Haolan said helplessly, then turned to leave. After Ning Haolan left, the grand elder looked at the head of the Ning family disapprovingly. Why are you venting your anger on that child, Haolan? This matter has nothing to do with him. How could it not have anything to do with him? Ning Wen is his attendant. If it wasn't for me, those elders would have eaten him. It just so happens that some people can't find any evidence against him, the master of the Ning family said, exasperated at Ning Wen's failure to live up to his expectations. Although the poisoning incident had infuriated him, he was even angrier at the fact that the heir he had set his eyes on had been so careless, allowing someone to take advantage of the situation. If Ning Wen could not be found, and someone continued to press on with the matter, then Hao Lan would definitely be in a very passive position. The prestige that he had painstakingly built up among the family members would also fall. He had nurtured Hao Lan for so many years, and this was not something he wanted to see. It's useless to be angry now that things have come to this. The first elder consoled him and then changed the topic. I don't know if Shui can refine the antidote. I'm really looking forward to it. At the mention of Leng Ruoxue, the master of the Ning family, who was burning with anger, immediately became listless. Actually, there was another reason for his anger, and it was Leng Ruoxue. Although Shui had never complained to him about Ning Shan's injury, he knew that Shui was angry. Now that Shui Er's entire mind was focused on refining the antidote for the soul-forgetting pill, she had not found time to settle the score with the Ning family yet. After Leng Ruoxue asked him for the formula for soul forgetting and some herbs, she had been hiding in her room and had not come out. He wondered how she was doing now. He was very uneasy. If Shui did not refine the antidote for soul forgetting, some people in the Ning family would be in deep trouble. Wu. Please don't vent your anger on him. As Master Ning's mind was running wild, Leng Ruoxue had already entered the purple bamboo room in the bracelet and was trying to concoct the antidote for the soul-forgetting pill. In the alchemy room of the purple bamboo house, Leng Ruoxue sat on the futon and concocted the forgotten soul according to the formula. Then, she followed the medicinal herbs on the formula and chose the herbs that were compatible with and countered each other. She then carried out countless experiments. There were a total of 58 medicinal herbs in the formula of the forgotten soul. Except for the main herb, the forgotten soul grass, only a few of the other medicinal herbs were relatively precious. Most of them were ordinary medicinal herbs. However, even ordinary medicinal herbs had medicinal herbs that were compatible with and countered each other. Therefore, just matching these medicinal herbs took her nearly a day's time. After she found all the medicinal herbs, she had to experiment again and again according to the proportion of medicinal herbs. Leng Ruoxue placed piles and piles of herbs into the pill furnace seriously. She watched as they went through the process of melting, purification, pill condensation, and the final tempering. Even though the first few steps were very successful, all her efforts were wasted at the last step of forming the pill. She could not help but feel a little vexed. However, she did not feel relieved because she knew very well that Ning Shan was still waiting for the antidote. Therefore, she had to make the pill. Chapter 1534, Medicine Testing. 1. There were only two reasons why the pill couldn't be formed. Either the proportion of medicinal materials was wrong, or the medicinal materials used to refine the pill were wrong, which needed to be tested slowly. After countless trials and countless failures, Leng Ruoxue finally succeeded in refining a cauldron of pills. The pills were only the size of soybeans and were light green in color. There was a layer of faint flowing light on top of them, making them look very beautiful. However, she could not be sure that this was the antidote to the soul forgetfulness. Therefore, she felt that she needed someone to test the pills. As for the person to test the pills, she also had one in her heart. At the thought of this, she changed her mind and left the bracelet. The moment Leng Ruoxue stepped out of the room, Grape and Lotus, who were guarding the door, immediately came up to her and asked nervously, "Miss, has the antidote been made?" The two of them were also very concerned about Ning Shan's injuries. In addition, they had a good relationship with Ning Hai, so they naturally did not wish for anything to happen to Ning Shan. "I've made one, but I don't know if it'll work. I need to find someone to test it," Leng Ruoxue said straightforwardly. "Miss, I'll try." Grape thought for a while and said, "You? No. I have someone else in mind." Although she did not know why Grape wanted to test the medicine for Ning Shan, she could not let her maidservant do such a thing. She had already thought of a candidate in her heart. "Arg! Who are you looking for, miss?" Grape was confused. She did not think that anyone would be willing to try this medicine. It would be a serious matter if they really became stupid. "Ning Duan." Leng Ruoxue's red lips parted slightly as she uttered a name. "Ah. I don't think he's willing to be a medicine tester, right?" Grape was stunned and could not help but ask. "This is not up to him." Leng Ruoxue laughed coldly. She didn't care if Ning Duan was willing or not. However, if Ning Duan was really not willing, she could only use force. "Hee hee. Miss, what do you plan to do?" After hearing Leng Ruoxue's words, Grape's beautiful face was filled with excitement. "If he's not willing, then we'll use force. Although he's a deity, with the two of you here, it's not like we can't deal with a Ningduan." Leng Ruoxue laughed evilly. "Don't worry, miss. It's best if he's willing, but if he's not, we'll beat him until he's willing." Grape promised with a serious face, while Lotus Seed kept nodding. Then let's go find Ning Haolan first. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Why are you looking for him? Grape was a little puzzled. Of course we're going to let him take us to Ning Duan. Otherwise, how would we know where he is? Leng Ruoxue gave Grape a "you've become stupid" look. Miss. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Grape said, a little eager. Leng Ruoxue nodded and left the courtyard with the grapes and lotus seeds. Although she lived in the forbidden area behind the mountain, she did not live in the same courtyard as her godfather. Therefore, the master of the Ning family and the first elder did not know that she had already left the room. Before she could prove that she had refined the antidote for the soul-forgetting pill, she did not intend to tell her godfather and the first elder about it. When she reached the entrance of the forbidden area, Leng Ruoxue met the captain of the imperial guards she had met when she sneaked into the forbidden area. When the captain saw her, he actually greeted her very warmly. Miss Leng, are you going out? The guard captain asked with a fawning look. I'm going to see your young master. Do you know where he lives? Leng Ruoxue asked after seeing the captain. The young master lives in the Lanyuan. I'll take you there. The captain of the guards was very enthusiastic. Would it be too much trouble for you? Leng Ruoxue pretended to hesitate. I want tea. Miss Leng, please follow me. After the captain finished speaking, he led the way while Leng Ruoxue and the other two followed behind him. After making a few turns, Leng Ruoxue followed the captain's lead and arrived at a quiet courtyard. She saw the two large words, Land Garden, on the door and knew that this should be Ning Haolan's residence. Miss Leng, this is the young master's residence. I won't be accompanying you in. The guard captain said. Yes, I'll have to trouble you. After Leng Ruoxue finished speaking, she took out a small jade bottle from her bracelet and passed it to the guard leader. There were 3 healing pills in it, and they were of a high grade. It could be considered as her gift of thanks. Miss Leng is too polite. How can I take your things? The captain of the guards said, a little embarrassed. Although he had the intention of currying favor by leading the way for Leng Ruoxue, he did not expect that Leng Ruoxue would reward him. This made him not know what to do. Take it. It's just a few healing pills I made myself, they're not worth much. Leng Ruoxue chuckled. Thank you, Miss Leng. When he heard that it was not worth much, the captain of the royal guards accepted it with a smile. He watched Leng Ruoxue's back until she could no longer be seen. After that, he opened the jade bottle and took a look. His eyes instantly widened. Oh my God! What was this? Were they all refined by Miss Leng herself? He was dumbfounded. Then, he quickly put the jade bottle into his storage ring and left. Leng Ruoxue and the other two walked into Land Garden. As they walked, they looked around. Land Garden did not stand out in the Grand Ling family's main residence. However, it was rather quiet and elegant. Furthermore, Land Garden was not very big. After walking for a while, they arrived at the main courtyard. At this time, Qing Xian and Ning Haolan were drinking under the moonlight. Your great aunt is here. Qing Xian looked at the depressed Ning Haolan and said. His seat was facing the entrance of the courtyard, so he saw Leng Ruoxue and her 2 maidservants with a single glance. What great aunt? Ning Haolan was a little stunned as he asked in a daze. At this moment, his heart was already filled with depression, so he couldn't care less about the others. Leng Ruoxue is here. Qing Xian helplessly reminded her softly. As soon as he finished speaking, Leng Ruoxue had already walked in front of them. Leng Ruoxue sat down on an empty stone chair and stared at the 2 of them with her beautiful eyes, causing Qing Xian's hair to stand on end. That. Great aunt. What brings you here? I heard that you're studying soul forgetting. Qing Xian asked with a face full of question marks. There's something I'd like to ask young Master Ning for help with. Leng Ruoxue ignored the word great aunt and smiled calmly. Great aunt, if there's anything, just say it. Haolan will definitely do anything for you. Qing Xian interrupted before Ning Haolan had a chance to speak. You can represent him. Leng Ruoxue found it a little funny. This Qing Xian was really not the usual kind of person who would get close to others. I can. He had to. Who are we to you? Qing Xian said smugly. So he can also represent you? Leng Ruoxue was very curious. He. We don't distinguish between each other. Qing Xian said with a smile. From his tone, he seemed to be quite self-deprecating. Chapter 1535, Medicine Testing, 2, What's the matter? The depressed Ning Haolan asked. I would like to borrow Ning Duan from young Master Ning. Leng Ruoxue laughed evilly. Why are you lending him? Qing Xian was very curious, and he kept blinking his big black eyes to act cute. Medicine testing. Leng Ruoxue did not hide anything. Ah. He's a direct descendant of the Ning family. Ning Haolan could not help but remind her. I know. Leng Ruoxue nodded. Then why did you ask him to test the medicine? If the Ning family's elders find out, it will be troublesome. Ning Haolan said, feeling a little troubled. He had only kept Ning Duan under guard, but he had already incurred the dissatisfaction of some of the clan members. If he handed Ning Duan over to Leng Ruoxue to test the medicine, he did not dare to imagine what the elders of Ning Duan's line would do. I'm not afraid of trouble. Leng Ruoxue did not think much of it. In any case, she had already made up her mind to use Ning Duan to test the medicine. Who asked him to harm Ning Shan? Although Ning Duan was not the main culprit, his crime was unforgivable. Great aunt. Haolan is already under a lot of pressure from keeping Ning Duan under guard. If he hands Ning Duan over to you to test medicine, those elders will definitely find trouble with him. Qing Xian could not help but ask. As Ning Haolan's good friend and someone who lived in the garden, he knew very well what kind of pressure Ning Haolan was under. Although he wanted to watch a good show and did not care who Leng Ruoxue used to test the medicine, he had to consider his good friend's feelings. The people of the Ning family were not easy to get along with. Those people who were envious of the noble status might stir up trouble and make a big fuss behind the scenes. If you don't hand Ning Duan over to me, will some people in the Ning family let him go? Leng Ruoxue sneered. Then, she turned to Ning Haolan and said, if I'm not wrong, the Ning family hasn't been peaceful these days, right? It was clearly your attendant who took the forgotten soul, so you should also be a suspect. However, you only keep Ning Duan in custody and keep yourself out of the world. Will the people of the Ning family let you go? Even if you're right, I can't give Ning Duan to you to test medicine. After all, Ning Duan was a direct descendant of the Ning family. Although he hated Ning Duan for being so disappointing, he was not very willing to let Leng Ruoxue test Ning Duan's medicine. Ning Duan was a member of the Ning family after all. If he made a mistake, the Ning family would naturally punish him. However, if he handed Ning Duan over to Leng Ruoxue, he felt that the nature of the matter would change. To put it bluntly, he still cared about his family. No matter how bad his family members were, they were still part of the family. You're really pedantic. If I were you, I'd be more than happy to hand over Ning Duan and take advantage of this matter to see the true colors of some people. You're going to be the patriarch in the future, so you have to clear the obstacles in front of you yourself. Otherwise, how can you convince the masses? Leng Ruoxue tried to convince him. Ning Haolan was the one chosen by her godfather after all. He must have his own special abilities. Hence, for the sake of her godfather, she would give him a hand. However, this would have to depend on Ning Haolan's own decision. She could not possibly push the duck onto the rack. After hearing Leng Ruoxue's words, Ning Haolan could not help but fall into deep thought. He knew that Leng Ruoxue was right. There were indeed people in the family who wanted to cause trouble for him. However, because of old ancestors' existence, those people did not dare to cause too much trouble. However, if they did this from time to time, it would be unbearable. Moreover, old ancestor might not help him solve these problems. Most of the time, he would have to rely on himself. After all, this was a good opportunity to prove his ability. The old grand madam would definitely be happy to see this happen. Therefore, it could not be denied that Leng Ruoxu's words had moved his heart. However, if the news of Ning Duan being handed over to Leng Ruoxue to test the medicine were to spread out, he would definitely be made difficult by his clan. Hence, before he could think of a good countermeasure, he did not dare to let Leng Ruoxue off. Can you tell me what medicine I'm using Ning Duan to test? Will his life be in danger? Ning Haolan asked after some thought. I'm going to use him to test the soul-forgetting technique. There won't be any danger to my life. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Her words caused Qing Xian's mouth to drop open in shock, unable to speak for a long time. Ning Haolan was clearly frightened by Leng Ruoxue's words as well, breaking out in a cold sweat. Of course, he knew that the soul-forgetting pill was not life-threatening, but the pill would turn people into fools. On top of that, there was no antidote, so he really could not imagine how he would explain to his clan if Ning Duan became a fool. All of a sudden, he had a flash of inspiration. He could not believe the possibility that he had just thought of. Could it be that Leng Ruoxue had concocted the antidote? That's impossible, right? How many days had it only been? One had to know that back then, their Ning family's grand elder had used several years to develop the forgotten soul. And so far, the great elder had not been able to refine the antidote for the soul forget. Are you trying to turn him into an idiot? After a long time, Qing Xian, who had come back to his senses, could not help but ask. No wonder people often said that a woman's heart was the most poisonous. Becoming a fool was even more unbearable than killing the other party directly. After all, who would be willing to become a fool? No. The purpose of feeding him the soul-forgetting pill was to test if the antidote I made was effective. Leng Ruoxue said calmly. Arg! You've refined the antidote to the soul-forgetting pill? Qing Xian's eyes widened once again, and he said in disbelief, it's only been a few days. She had managed to create it, how could she let him live? I don't know if it's the antidote to the soul-forgetting pill. That's why I wanted to try it. Leng Ruoxue didn't dare to be too confident. It only took 3 days. If you can really refine the antidote for the soul-forgetting pill and let the great elder know, he will definitely be depressed. Ning Haolan said, speechless. As I said, I don't know if the pill I made can cure the forgotten soul, but I have to try. However, even if the pill this time can't cure it, it'll still make an antidote for it. Leng Ruoxue said in a serious tone. Since you can't be sure that what you've made is the antidote to soul forgetting, why must you use Ning Duanping to test it? Ning Haolan was confused. Young Master Ning, I always thought you were very smart. It seems that I was wrong. Leng Ruoxue did not answer Ning Haolan's question directly. Instead, she replied with a look of regret. Her words made Ning Haolan feel extremely embarrassed. Qing Xian, who was beside him, started to chuckle without holding back. Ning Haolan glared at Qing Xian, who had picked up a joke, and said seriously, I can hand Ning Duan over to you, but I want to watch the process of your medicine testing. I also want to see it. Qing Xian said, not willing to be outdone. No problem, but you'd better arrange a quiet place for me, in case his howling is too loud and it attracts people to watch. Leng Ruoxue reminded. Yes. Ning Haolan nodded. Great aunt. When do you plan to test the medicine for Ningduan? Qing Xian was a little excited. Now. Leng Ruoxue said. Time was money and couldn't be delayed. Haolan. Hurry up and go take Ning Duan. Qing Xian urged. He was even more anxious than Leng Ruoxue. Chapter 1536, Medicine Testing, 3, Ning Haolan resignedly went to bring Ning Duan out. He then brought Leng Ruoxue and the others to a mountain on the outskirts of the Ning family's main city. The mountain was not large and one could see the end of it with a single glance. However, there was a cave at the foot of the mountain that was half the size of a room. The cave was very refreshing and well hidden, which met Ling Ruoxu's requirements. Standing outside the cave, Ling Ruoxu nodded in satisfaction. This place is not bad. It's quite suitable for testing medicine. Hee hee. Great aunt. Haolan and I used to come here when we were young. Other than the two of us, no one else knows about this place. Qing Xian said as if he was presenting a treasure. Oh. Ling Ruoxu replied softly and walked into the cave. Ning Haolan and Qing Xian followed behind, throwing Ning Duan to the ground. Ning Duan had already been knocked unconscious by Ning Haolan. When he slowly woke up and saw where he was, his heart skipped a beat. He stared warily at the person in front of him like a little wife. You. What do you want? I'm a direct descendant of the Ling family, and my great-grandfather is the 19th elder of the Ling family. Don't act rashly. Ning Duan was slightly afraid, and since he did not know what the other party would do to him, the fear in his heart deepened. Look at you, how can the Ning family have a direct descendant like you? Grape, who was extremely displeased with him, gave him a vicious kick and said with a look of disdain. You dare to kick me? You don't want to live anymore. Ning Duan had never been taught a lesson by a woman in his entire life. In addition, he was a little chauvinistic and felt that being beaten up by a woman was not something to be proud of. Therefore, Grape's kick had angered him and made him explode immediately. So what if I kicked you? I want to beat you up. After Grape finished speaking, she ignored Ning Haolan and Qing Xian's presence and immediately swung her fists at Ning Duan's handsome face. At the side, Lotus Seed did not want to be left behind and also began to punch and kick Ning Duan. Ugh! Ning Haolan and Qing Xian were dumbfounded when they saw Ling Ruoxu's two maidservants transform into tigresses. These two women were so fierce. It was truly too terrifying. However, looking at the calm Ling Ruoxu, the two of them slowly calmed down. However, the action of wiping away their cold sweat revealed the nervousness in their hearts. Arg! You two barbarian! Ning Duan's cries of pain continued to ring out, but they were all ignored. After Grape and Lotus had enough of beating them up, they saw Ning Haolan and Qing Xian's expressions and began to comfort them kindly. Don't be afraid. We don't just beat people up, we're not beating people up. Grape said with a smile. Yup. Besides, you're already god kings. Even if we, two puny gods, wanted to beat you up, we couldn't. So, we can only bully people like him. Lotus Seed said with some regret. Her words made Qing Xian roll his eyes continuously, and he couldn't help but think in his heart, these two women have violent tendencies. If he could beat them up, what was wrong with beating them up as well? The more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Therefore, he subconsciously moved away from the Grapes and Lotus Seed, keeping a certain distance from them before he felt relieved. Quickly test the medicine for him. Ning Haolan sighed as he spoke to Ling Ruoxu. He chose to ignore the two maidservants because he did not know how to answer them. Ling Ruoxu suppressed the laughter in her heart and nodded. Then, she took out the forgotten soul and handed it to the Grapes, signaling for her to serve it to Ning. You. What did you feed me? I don't want to eat it. Ning Duan, who was covered in wounds from the beating, was being held by Grape like a little chick. When he saw the pill in Grape's hand, a thread of fear rose from the bottom of his heart, and his resistance grew even stronger. You better behave yourself. Seeing that Ning Duan was struggling, Grape angrily punched him on the head. Ning Duan immediately felt dizzy, but he still struggled. Seeing this, Lotus Seed stepped forward and held Ning Duan firmly in her hands. This way, Grape's hands were free. She roughly pinched Ning Duan's chin and pried his mouth open. She then threw the pill that Ling Ruoxu had given her into his mouth and dusted her hands before standing to the side. Seeing that the Grapes had been taken care of, Lotus Seed released Ning Duan's grip and stood to the side. As soon as Ning Duan regained his freedom, he reached his hand into his throat and tried to pull the pill out. However, the pill melted as soon as it reached his mouth. Other than vomiting a few mouthfuls of saliva, there was no trace of the pill. That damned woman. What did you give me to eat? Ning Duan was very afraid, but he, who had always been arrogant, still couldn't help but shout. What you ate was soul forgetfulness. Leng Ruoxue chuckled. Soul forgetting? This was impossible. You're lying to me. Ning Duan did not believe Leng Ruoxue's words. It was not like he had not seen the forgotten soul before. It was in powder form and was colorless and transparent. However, what he had just eaten was clearly a pill. Thus, he was certain that Leng Ruoxue was lying to him. What do you have that's worth me lying to you about? Leng Ruoxue said, amused. I am a direct descendant of the Ning family. Ning Duan stuttered. So what? I know why you don't believe that it's soul forgetting, it's because it's different from what you've seen. In fact, I made it myself according to your Ning family's recipe. Leng Ruoxue explained with a faint smile. Her beautiful eyes were carefully observing Ning Duan's reaction. Right now, his forgotten soul had not acted up yet. Otherwise, how could his mind be so clear? You vicious woman, you actually fed me the forgotten soul. Our Ning family will never let you off. The annoyed and angry Ning Duan said viciously. However, he soon lost the chance to make a fuss because the soul forgetfulness poison had acted up. Arg! It hurts. Ning Duan lay on the ground in pain, rolling around. His face was like a color palette, alternating between blue and black, constantly changing. The blood in his body flowed in reverse, and the veins in his body swelled up, making him look extremely horrifying. Leng Ruoxue looked coldly at Ning Duan, who was rolling around on the ground in pain. She did not feel any sympathy for him because he had brought this upon himself. However, his current appearance was much scarier than Ning Shan's back then. At this time, the blood in his body was constantly flowing everywhere, but there was no channel to vent it. Therefore, the pain he suffered was definitely much greater than Ning Shan's. At that time, Ning Shan's eyes were injured, and the poisonous blood in his body flowed out through his eyes. In addition, she had given Ning Shan a healing pill, so the pain Ning Shan suffered was actually not much. However, even so, she didn't plan on immediately giving Ning Duan the antidote. She wanted Ning Duan to be in pain for a while, or it would be difficult to dispel the hatred in her heart. Ning Shan was such a cute child. Now that he had caused her to become an idiot, how could she possibly let Ning Duan live well? After instructing Grape and Lotus Seed to keep an eye on Ning Duan, she led Ning Haolan and Qing Xian around the mountain. The mountain was small, and there wasn't much prey on it. After more than an hour, they only managed to hunt 2 rabbits. After that, the 3 of them returned to the cave. At this moment, the grapes had already started a fire. When they saw Leng Ruoxue and the other 2 return, they went up to them and took the initiative to clean up the rabbit. I don't think 2 rabbits are enough, right? Sitting by the fire, Qing Xian looked at the fat rabbit that had been cleaned up. Don't tell me you guys didn't eat dinner. Leng Ruoxue raised her beautiful eyes and said, a little speechless. I did, but am hungry again after walking so far. Qing Xian said matter-of-factly, his handsome face not showing the slightest bit of embarrassment. You'll get fat if you eat too much. Leng Ruoxue rolled her eyes at Qing Xian before she replied indifferently. I'm still growing, so I'm not afraid of getting fat. Qing Xian didn't think so. You're not young anymore, are you? I'll look down on you for pretending to be young. Leng Ruoxue said honestly. Who said that? I'm still very young, okay? Qing Xian said with an aggrieved expression. Then, he could not help but ask curiously, did Ning Duan faint? Why did you stop? No, I didn't, I blocked his mouth, it's too noisy. Grape said with a smirk. When do you plan to give him the antidote? Hearing Grape's words, Ning Haolan broke out in cold sweat as he asked Leng Ruoxue. Eat something and take a nap before we talk. Leng Ruoxue said lightly. Ah. Leng Ruoxu's words filled Ning Haolan and Qing Xian's hearts with sympathy for Ning Duan. At the same time, they also made up their minds not to offend women in the future, or else they would end up in a terrible state. Miss. Here, eat this. It's done. Grape handed over a rabbit leg. Leng Ruoxua took it and ate it slowly. After she was done, she took out her house and placed it on the empty ground. Ning Haolan and Qing Xian were stunned for a moment when they saw the house in front of them, and it took them a long time to regain their senses. Great aunt. This house, Qing Xian was so excited that he didn't know what to say. He was so jealous. Who would have thought that Leng Ruoxue would actually have such a spatial god tool? This was truly a case of comparing one with another, and it was truly infuriating. One had to know that even his ancestors did not have such a thing. It's a gift from the Armament Guild headquarters, Grand Elder. Leng Ruoxue explained calmly. Since you have such a divine weapon, why do you still want me to find a place for you to test the medicine? Can't you just bring Ning Duan into your house? Ning Haolan asked in confusion. My house isn't a place that just anyone can enter. Leng Ruoxue said softly. Great aunt. Bring me in for a tour. Qing Xian said with an ingratiating expression, his clear eyes filled with anticipation. All right, he said. Leng Ruoxue nodded and brought him and Ning Haolan into the house. After entering, Qing Xian was like a grandmother in the Grand View Garden. He looked around and touched everything, his eyes filled with curiosity. Ning Haolan was also surprised, but he was much calmer than Qing Xian. You guys do as you please, I'm going to sleep. After Leng Ruoxue finished speaking, she left the two of them behind and returned to her room. Chapter 1537, Little Brother, You're Too Unfriendly, 1. After Leng Ruoxue left, Qing Xian still could not hide the excitement on his face. Just as he was about to continue with the tour, he suddenly heard a slightly mocking voice. Country bumpkin, you really have not seen the world. Qing Xian was taken aback when he heard this. He turned to the source of the voice, a little annoyed. The voice was clearly directed at him, and Ning Haolan had heard it as well. However, he appeared extremely calm. After all, the other party had not specifically mentioned him. If he were to get angry over this, wouldn't it be as if he was trying to cover up his own tracks? Therefore, he naturally wouldn't touch this topic and continued to look around. At this moment, Qing Xian's eyes had already caught sight of a huge black tiger, who was looking at him with a haughty expression and a pair of big eyes. The look in his eyes was full of contempt, which made him even more furious. Who are you talking about? Qing Xian asked coldly. Whoever pays attention to me is the one I'm talking about. The Dark Tiger King said in an extremely infuriating manner. Its tail was still wagging non-stop, and it seemed to be having a lot of fun. Qing Xian was so angry that he couldn't say anything. He couldn't help but turn to look at Ning Haolan, who had nothing to do with the situation. He suddenly felt that he was a little silly. No wonder that sly fox Ning Haolan didn't react at all. It seemed like he had long since guessed that he would encounter this situation. Sigh. How could he be so brainless? At the thought of this, he was prepared to ignore the big black tiger. For it to be able to live here, it must be related to Leng Ruoxue. It might even be her beastie. He would give Leng Ruoxue a face and not be calculative with this damn tiger. However, even if he wanted to let it go, the Dark Tiger King had no intention of letting him go. This was because it was a little bored staying here. It was not easy for two strangers to come in, and their strength was comparable to its own. It had to play with them. It was because no one in this house was willing to fight with it. The Dark Tiger King was deliberately looking for trouble, so it naturally wouldn't let Qing Xian off so easily. Country bumpkin. You've never seen such a divine weapon before, have you? The Dark Tiger King laughed evilly, his large eyes filled with provocation. Qing Xian looked up at the sky after hearing the Dark Tiger King's words. He held himself back and ignored it. However, Ning Haolan spoke up. It's getting late, I'll go find a room to rest for a while. With that, Ning Haolan dusted off his butt and walked towards the side courtyard. Moreover, his speed was extremely fast. Before Qing Xian and the Dark Tiger King could react, he had already disappeared. Seeing that Ning Haolan had left, Qing Xian was about to leave as well. However, this time, the Dark Tiger King reacted quickly and blocked his way. It looked at him with a faint smile and said, "Little country bumpkin, you still haven't answered my question." The Dark Tiger King had an unforgiving look on its face, and its heart was beating even faster. Since he had let that guy go, he would not let this kid go no matter what. "I'm not familiar with you." Qing Xian gritted his teeth and said hatefully, "What I'm trying to say is that I have nothing to say to you. If I can't tell that this black tiger is looking for trouble, then I've been eating for nothing all these years." Therefore, he decided to learn from Hao Lan and ignore this tiger who was looking for trouble. "Well, be familiar after a chat. Now that the moon is dark and there's no one around, it's a good time to chat. Chat with this brother for a while." The Dark Tiger King grinned. "I'm going to sleep. I don't have time to chat with you." Qing Xian had a headache. This damn tiger had just called him a baboon from a foreign land, and now it wanted to get close to him and chat with him. How could there be such a wonderful thing? If they were not in Leng Ruoxu's house, he would definitely have given this stinky tiger a good beating. "You're already a god king, so why are you sleeping?" The Dark Tiger King's face was filled with disdain. "I'll sleep on my own, what does it have to do with you? Besides, so what if you're a god king? Who said that god kings can't sleep?" Qing Xian was a little angry. He felt that he was talking to Niu Tanqin. No. He was talking to a tiger. Moreover, he was a bored tiger who was looking for trouble and was unreasonable. "Little brother. You're so unfriendly." The Dark Tiger King was extremely aggrieved. It was as if Qing Xian had said something he shouldn't have. Its large tiger eyes were actually staring at Qing Xian with tears in them. "Little brother." Hearing these 3 words, Qing Xian almost jumped up in shock. Why did these 3 words sound so unpleasant to the ear? It would make him think of something, and these 3 words also provoked him. "Damn it, don't call me little brother." Qing Xian couldn't take it anymore and roared. "Then what should I call you? A little sister?" The Dark Tiger King's face was filled with confusion. Its large eyes scanned Qing Xian's body like a searchlight, as if it was saying, "Are you not a man?" The Dark Tiger King's probing gaze made Qing Xian feel uncomfortable. However, after thinking about it, he decided to bear with it. A strong dragon could not suppress a snake in its own territory. For Leng Ruoxu's sake, he did not want to be calculative with this damn tiger that he hated so much. Qing Xian took advantage of this opening and strode over the Shadow Tiger King's massive body, heading in the direction Ning Haolan had just taken. Seeing this, the Shadow Tiger King naturally followed unwillingly. Qing Xian found an empty guest room. After entering, he immediately closed the door to avoid being disturbed by uninvited guests while he was sleeping soundly. Before going to bed, Qing Xian suddenly thought of that detestable tiger again. He thought to himself, who says that a divine king doesn't need to sleep? Although the higher one's cultivation level, the lower one's need for food and sleep, that doesn't mean that they don't have it. Moreover, even cultivators like them are no different from ordinary people at the beginning of cultivation. They need to eat and sleep. Once their cultivation level is high, this habit can't be forgotten easily. For example, their family's ancestor, he's already a divine venerable, but didn't he still eat and sleep? He thought about it for a while and soon fell asleep. However, in his half-awake state, a demonic voice suddenly drifted into his ears. "There's a girl called Little Yen. Her fur is smooth and beautiful, her eyes are bright and watery, and her mouth is pink and attractive. Yen, I love you. Yen, I'm so patient with you." Little Yen, the Dark Tiger King, was lying outside Qing Xian's room, humming non-stop. Although it was tone-deaf, it was still singing about its love for its wife, which was quite touching. Unfortunately, when it reached Qing Xian's ears, it was not the same. If you want to express your love for the person you like, you should sing it to the person you like. What's with singing a love song to a man who's sleeping soundly? Qing Xian, who was on the bed, could only cover his ears with the blanket and ignore the demonic sound. He knew very well that this damn tiger was doing it on purpose, and once he responded, this tiger would probably go on and on. So, he could only swallow his anger. The Dark Tiger King, who had been humming outside Qing Xian's room for the entire night, stared at Qing Xian's room door with a dejected expression. This brat had learned his lesson. He had actually held himself back from coming out. This made the Dark Tiger King feel a little dejected. The depressed Dark Tiger King thought about its miserable state of mind and started to sing again. Chapter 1538, Little brother, you're too unfriendly. 2. A child with a mother is a treasure, but a child without a mother is a blade of grass. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue, who had just walked out of her room, heard the tone-deaf singing coming from afar. A few black lines could not help but slide down her forehead. She thought to herself, who is singing? And he even sang it so pitifully. Following the direction of the singing, Leng Ruoxue was surprised to find out that it was the Dark Tiger King. She didn't know what to say as she looked at the Dark Tiger King that was howling at the top of its lungs early in the morning. When the Dark Tiger King saw that Leng Ruoxue had arrived, it actually became embarrassed for once. However, it was fortunate that its fur was black, so it would not be easily discovered by others. Tiger King. What the hell are you doing? Leng Ruoxue's beautiful face was filled with question marks. I'm fine. I'm just practicing my gu. The Dark Tiger King quickly said. Practice your ass. It's been howling the whole night, and it doesn't want us to sleep well. Suddenly, the door to the room was opened. Qing Xian, who obviously hadn't slept well, walked out of the room with a wave of resentment. Ah! After hearing Qing Xian's words, Leng Ruoxue could not help but size up the Darkness Tiger King. Could it be that the Tiger King had been provoked by something? Otherwise, why would he lie in front of someone else's room and howl for an entire night? Quarreling with Yen, She made wild guesses. I'm just reminiscing about the past. The Dark Tiger King said in a soft voice. It was obviously embarrassed. Back then, when it was pursuing Yen, they were also in the same room, so it couldn't help but sing. Yen also ignored it for the entire night, just like last night. I'm not Yen, why would you fall in love with me? Qing Xian roared in anger. At this moment, he had changed his usual elegant and noble image and directly shouted at the top of his voice. Little girl, he's so fierce. Hearing Qing Xian's roar, the Dark Tiger King acted like an aggrieved little wife and spoke to Leng Ruoxue pitifully. Leng Ruoxue looked at the man and the tiger, then wiped the cold sweat off her forehead. She decided to stay out of this world and not care about the dispute between the two of them. Let's talk it out. I'm going out. With that, Leng Ruoxue turned around and left irresponsibly. Wait for me. Seeing this, Qing Xian quickly caught up to avoid being entangled by the tiger. Seeing Qing Xian's expression of lingering fear, Leng Ruoxue could not help but burst out laughing. Her laughter caused Qing Xian's face to darken. You still dare to laugh? You don't even care about your own beastie and let it bully the guest. Qing Xian complained with a wronged expression. Hee hee. All it did was sing outside your room. This is considered bullying you. Leng Ruoxue feigned ignorance. It even called me a country bumpkin. Qing Xian said through gritted teeth. Is he referring to your name? Leng Ruoxue asked. No, I didn't, Qing Xian said gloomily. Then I'm not calling you, but if you want to make the connection, I can't do anything about it. Leng Ruoxue laughed evilly. Alright. I'm just unlucky. Why would I fight with a tiger for no reason? Qing Xian said unhappily. It's good that you know. It's just bored, so it wanted to have some fun. Leng Ruoxue understood. These days, the Dark Tiger King and the other beasts had been staying in the house. Although the spiritual energy here was not bad, they would get bored after staying for a long time. So you came to me for fun? Qing Xian was furious. Looks like you're not as smart as Ning Haolan. Leng Ruoxue said with some sympathy. He's an old fox. Qing Xian said through gritted teeth. The two of them talked as they walked. Not long after, they arrived at the garden where Ning Haolan was waiting for them. However, Qing Xian did not give him a good look when he saw him. After bidding Leng Ruoxue farewell, he left the house. Ah! What was wrong with him? Did I provoke him? Ning Haolan's handsome face was filled with question marks when he saw Qing Xian's expression. I'm fine. Let's go out too. Leng Ruoxue chuckled. It had been an entire night, and she wondered if Ning Duan had died from the pain. Yes. Ning Haolan nodded, and the two of them walked out of the house together. At this moment, the grapes and lotus seeds had already prepared breakfast, and Qing Xian had already started eating without any reservations. Miss. Let's eat. Grape beckoned. All right. Leng Ruoxue nodded and sat down. After breakfast, the group walked into the cave to see Ning Duan. Miss. Is he an idiot? Grape looked at Ning Duan and asked. At this moment, Ning Duan's eyes were unfocused, and his mouth was half open, drooling from the corner of his mouth. When he saw them, he could only smile foolishly. His clothes were wrinkled, and the blood stains on them had dried up. It looked like he had suffered a lot last night. However, he deserved it. He's indeed silly. Leng Ruoxue said after observing for a while. It seemed like the soul forget had completely taken effect. At this thought, she took out a light green pill the size of a soybean from her bracelet and passed it to Grape. After Grape received it, he pried open Ning Duan's mouth and threw the pill in. How long will this antidote take effect? Ning Haolan could not help but ask when he saw Ning Duan eat the pill. He was not concerned about when Ning Duan would wake up, but whether the pill could cure the amnesia. If Leng Ruoxue could really refine the antidote for the amnesia, it would be a great contribution to the Ning family. He just did not know if Leng Ruoxue would be willing to give the prescription to the Ning family. About a day. Well, know if it's effective at this time tomorrow. Leng Ruoxue said calmly. Then I'll go back to the Ning family to take a look. If someone wants to see Ning Duan, I'll be able to block them. Ning Haolan said after some thought. And, you can go back first. Leng Ruoxue nodded. I'll come back tonight. Qing Xian, are you going back with me? Ning Haolan turned to look at Qing Xian. I'll stay here. Qing Xian said after some hesitation. All right, I'll go back and take a look myself. Ning Haolan turned around and left. After Ning Haolan left, Leng Ruoxue and the others took turns to stay in the cave to observe Ning Duan's reaction. After taking the pill, Ning Duan fell asleep very quietly and did not wake up until night fell. Miss. Will there be any problems if he keeps sleeping like this? Grape asked worriedly. If Ning Duan fell into a deep sleep, wouldn't their efforts be in vain? I'm fine. I don't think he'll be able to wake up for a while. Leng Ruoxue understood. As she had expected, Ning Duan had slept for an entire day. However, when Ning Duan woke up the next day, he still had a silly look on his face. Leng Ruoxue saw this and knew that she had failed to refine the antidote. Chapter 1539, Little Brother, You're Too Unfriendly. 3, You guys look after him. I'll continue my research on the soul forgetfulness. After Leng Ruoxue finished speaking, she walked straight into the house. After returning to her room, Leng Ruoxue immediately flashed into the purple bamboo house in her bangle. In the alchemy room of the purple bamboo house, she adjusted the proportion of the medicinal materials that she had refined last time and added a few new medicinal herbs. After repeated experiments, she finally refined another kind of medicinal pill. The pill this time was slightly bigger than the previous one. The color of the pill was also slightly darker and it did not look as pretty as the previous one. Therefore, Leng Ruoxue was not sure if the pill this time could cure the sulfur-getting poison. However, she had to give it a try. Leng Ruoxue took the newly refined pills and left the house. After entering the cave, he saw that Grape and the others were there. When they saw Leng Ruoxue, they were a little surprised. "Miss, it hasn't even been a day and you've already made it?" Grape could not help but ask. "And I've refined another one." "Let him try it," Leng Ruoxue said with a faint smile. However, she couldn't help but sigh in her heart. She didn't use less than a day. It might not have been a day outside, but time was accelerated in the bracelet, so she had spent quite a long time refining this. Grape took the pill from Leng Ruoxue's hands and excitedly grabbed Ning Duan, who was crawling on the ground. He roughly pried open his mouth and threw the pill in. Following that, the eyes of the 5 people were fixed on Ning Duan. This time, Ning Duan did not fall asleep. He continued to crawl around like a headless fly. After a long while, he began to roll around on the ground, his hands constantly scratching his body. When he could not reach it, he began to rub it against the ground. Then, he began to tear at his clothes. In the blink of an eye, his already tattered clothes were all torn off, and he was completely naked. Ning Haolan and Qing Xian couldn't help but turn their heads away when they saw his ruddy appearance. However, Leng Ruoxue, Grape, and Lotus Seed were much more generous than them. It was as if they hadn't seen Ning Duan's ruddy appearance. Their 6 eyes were still fixed on him, staring fixedly. In truth, they were afraid that Ning Duan would run away. Sensing the calmness of Leng Ruoxue and the other 2, Ning Haolan and Qing Xian looked at each other with a bitter smile. A sense of powerlessness that they had never felt before slowly rose in their hearts. They also felt that their actions were a little embarrassing. The 3 women did not even think that they should be impolite, so why should they care? After Ning Duan consumed the pill, Leng Ruoxue also observed him for a day. After a day, seeing that Ning Duan was still acting crazy, she returned to the purple bamboo house to study the forgotten soul. A week later, Leng Ruoxue had yet to come out of her room and Ning Haolan was getting anxious from the wait. "Why don't I bring Ning Duan back first?" Ning Haolan said helplessly as he looked at the grapes and lotus seeds in the cave. In the past few days, Ning Duan's elders had been clamoring to see him, but he had stopped them all. He could stop them for now, but he could not stop them forever. There were already people in the clan who were beginning to suspect Ning Duan's whereabouts, so he wanted to take Ning Duan back to buy some time. "Young Master Ning, it's not that I don't want you to bring Ning Duan back, but you've seen how that fellow is right now. Do you think that if he returns and the elders of his lineage see him like this, they'll be able to act as if nothing happened?" She did not approve of Ning Haolan bringing Ning Duan back, but if he insisted, she would not be able to stop him. Still, she had to say what she needed to say. "Haolan, Grape's words are very reasonable. With Ning Duan's current condition, there's no point in bringing him back. On the contrary, it'll be easier for you to attract gossip." Qing Xian agreed. "Then what do you guys think we should do? The 19th elder has been asking me for her," Ning Haolan said, his head aching. "He wants his. If you don't give it to him, will he eat you?" Grape said disapprovingly. "I'm just afraid that he'll make a big deal out of it, and it won't be easy to end it," Ning Haolan said. This was what he was most worried about. In fact, if the 19th elder really went to the forefather, he would not be afraid. He was afraid that the old man would be restless and try to incite the clansmen who did not know what was going on. At that time, even the forefather would have a headache. With your family's old ancestor here, he shouldn't dare to make a scene, right? Qing Xian said with uncertainty. That old man has always found me an eyesore. If I don't take the opportunity to find trouble, I won't be him. Ning Haolan sighed. Hearing Ning Haolan's words, Grape, Lotus Seed, and Qing Xian looked at each other, no one saying a word. The atmosphere suddenly became heavy. In truth, they didn't have any good ideas, but they knew very well that bringing the now dumbfounded Ning Duan back to the Ning family was not a wise move. What happened? Suddenly, Leng Ruox's voice rang out from within the cave. Upon hearing it, Grape and the rest ran out in a hurry. Miss! You've finally come out. Grape ran in front of Leng Ruoxue and said with a sigh of relief. Seeing her own young miss, her heart also settled down, as if she had found her backbone. Great aunt! You've finally come out. Qing Xian said in surprise. What's wrong? Are you anxious from waiting? Leng Ruoxue chuckled as she teased. Following that, she took out an elixir and passed it to Grape. This elixir was different from the previous two. It was pure black and the size of a longan. There was no light flowing on it, and it looked extremely ordinary and unremarkable. After Grape received the pill, he grabbed the sleeping Ning Duan, pried open his mouth, and stuffed it in. Then, with a bang, he threw Ning Duan to the ground. Ning Duan, who was in a daze from his sleep, was awakened by the pain. He looked at Grape and the others with eyes full of fear and shrank into a corner, not even daring to raise his head. Ignoring Ning Duan's expression, Leng Ruoxue turned to Ning Haolan and said, Did the Ning family give you trouble? Not really. It's just that the elders of Ning Duan's bloodline have always wanted to see him, but I stopped them. They're already beginning to suspect that something has happened to Ning Duan. Ning Haolan replied honestly. It's been hard on you. Leng Ruoxue said apologetically. I wanted to bring him back first, but he really can't meet anyone like this. Ning Haolan said, his head aching. Don't worry, I'm very confident this time. Leng Ruoxue said calmly. Really? Ning Haolan was pleasantly surprised as he looked at Leng Ruoxue in disbelief. Well, no, in a while. Leng Ruoxue smiled but did not say anything. She spoke in a mysterious manner. Not long after, Ning Duan, who was in the corner, suddenly stood up and glared at Leng Ruoxue and the rest. He roared in anger, Damn it, how dare you treat me like this? I won't let you off. Not only did Ning Duan's threat not anger Leng Ruoxue and the others, it made them exceptionally happy. This meant that Ning Duan had returned to normal, and that Leng Ruoxue's pill was effective. At this moment, Ning Duan's eyes revealed a fierce glint, as if he wanted to tear Leng Ruoxue and the others into pieces. When Qing Xian saw this, he smiled faintly and said, It seems that he has really returned to normal. However, it seems that he is too normal. He even dares to threaten us. I really want to know why you won't let us go. Qing Xian provoked. During this period of time, he had been rather aggrieved because that damn tiger kept coming to his side for no reason. It would either use its demonic voice to sing to him or provoke him. On account of Leng Ruoxue, he couldn't do anything to that damn tiger, so he could only sulk alone. He tried to avoid that stinky tiger as much as possible. However, he couldn't get rid of the sulkiness in his heart. As such, he decided to use Ning Duan as a scapegoat today to vent his anger. I am a direct descendant of the Ning family. If you treat me like this, the Ning family won't let you off. Ning Duan spoke incoherently. In truth, his threat was merely words spoken out of anger. The two maidservants would be able to take care of the few people here without anyone else doing anything. Therefore, even though his words were harsh, his heart was trembling. Was a direct descendant of the Ning family very impressive? Which of us here doesn't have a higher status than you? You still dare to use your identity to threaten us? I think you're really tired of living. Qing Xian said with a calm smile. Young master. You actually joined forces with outsiders to bully your own family. If the patriarch and the elders find out about this, they won't let you off. Seeing that he could not threaten Qing Xian, Ning Duan could only turn his attention to Ning Haolan. In his opinion, as the young master of the Ning family, Ning Haolan should at least care about his face. However, he was wrong because Ning Haolan did not take him seriously at all. Ning Haolan laughed before he slowly spoke, Who are you talking about? As he spoke, Ning Haolan's eyes were on Qing Xian. It's her. They're outsiders. After a long while, Ning Duan pointed at Leng Ruoxue and said. Not only was Ning Haolan stunned by his words, but even Qing Xian, who had already mentally prepared himself, was also stunned. He had thought that Ning Duan would say that the outsider was him. Who knew that he would actually bite Leng Ruoxue? Could it be that Leng Ruoxue's strength was too low? However, she was still the goddaughter of the Ning family's ancestor. Compared to him, she was not an outsider, right? Chapter 1540, The Terrified Ning Duan, 1, Am Really an Outsider. Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes looked at Ning Duan as she spoke with a smile that was not a smile. However, her smile was like a flower, causing Ning Duan's heart to race wildly and his heart to tremble with fear. His heart was beating extremely fast, but it was also filled with fear. He could not even speak. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue took out a black whip from her bangle. The whip was as thick as a baby's arm, and it was covered with tiny spikes. Occasionally, a cold light would flash across the whip. After she took out the whip, she flicked it into the air a few times. The crisp pa-pa sound broke through the air, causing the already trembling Ning Duan to feel even more terrified. What do you want to do? Don't mess around. Ning Duan stammered as he looked at the black whip. In addition, no matter how he looked at it, he felt that the whip was very familiar, as if he had seen it before. I won't mess around. Besides, I've always done whatever I want. Leng Ruoxue laughed evilly as her beautiful eyes glimmered. She glanced at Ning Duan and said, I guess this whip was picked up by me. This was because the whip belonged to Ning Shi. Although she didn't like women who used whips to hit people, she wanted to try it out today, and Ning Duan was her test subject. Speaking of which, Ning Duan was quite unlucky. Previously, she had used him to test the sulfur-getting technique, and now, she was using him to test the whip. However, he only had himself to blame. Who asked him to provoke her for no reason? At the thought of this, Leng Ruoxue raised the long whip in her hand and drew a beautiful arc in the air, striking straight towards Ning Duan's body. Oh woo! Ah! Help me! The whip lashed out, causing Ning Duan, who had been tormented for the past few days, to wail in pain. The sound was so miserable that anyone who heard it would feel sad and those who saw it would shed tears. Unfortunately, the people in front of him had hearts of stone. No one would plead for him, much less cry. I've only whipped you once and you're already howling. Are you still a man? Leng Ruoxue said with a look of disdain. The whip in her hand made a pa-pa sound as it struck Ning Duan's body without any restraint. Arg! You vicious woman, I won't let you off. Ning Duan, who had nowhere to hide, forcefully endured the pain in his body and roared. At this moment, the wounds on his body were even more shocking, and blood was flowing down from the whip marks. You said I'm vicious. Then I'll show you how vicious I am. Leng Ruoxue said coldly. Other than lashing the whip at Ning Duan, she took out a small jade bottle from her bracelet. The jade bottle was filled with itching powder. After opening the bottle, Leng Ruoxue poured half of the bottle of itching powder onto Ning Duan without hesitation. When Grape and Lotus Seed saw Leng Ruoxue's actions, their hearts were filled with sympathy for Ning Duan. What a pitiful guy. You're going to suffer this time. You can provoke anyone, but why did you have to provoke her young miss? Don't look at how her young miss' strength was low, but she had many ruthless methods of torturing people. Ning Haolan and Qing Xian, who had also seen what Leng Ruoxue had done, did not know what she had thrown at her. However, they were well aware that it was definitely not something fun. In just a few seconds, Ning Duan's pain was replaced by an itch. The itch came so quickly that he had no time to react. His body started to twist and turn. The whip in Leng Ruoxue's hand landed on his body like raindrops. However, the itch and pain on his body had been reduced by a little. Arg! So comfortable. Again. Again. Use more strength. Ning Duan wriggled his body as he shouted. Compared to the pain, the itch was even more unbearable. Thus, Leng Ruoxue's whip had instead become the best help to alleviate the itch on his body. However, after hearing his words, Leng Ruoxue lost the mood to hit him. She put away the whip in her hand and crossed her arms over her chest. She looked down at Ning Duan from above, clearly not planning to fight anymore. Hit me. Quickly hit me. When Ning Duan saw that Leng Ruoxue didn't move for a long time, he couldn't help but start to plead. His submissive manner also made everyone look at him. Qing Xian and the others looked at Ning Duan with dumbfounded expressions and were speechless. What was he trying to do? He had completely disgraced the Ning family. If the Ning family found out about this, Ning Duan would be spurned by his clansmen. However, Leng Ruoxue, who had beaten him up, would probably become the target of public criticism. You're really cheap. Leng Ruoxue's beautiful face was filled with disdain. Suddenly, an idea flashed through her mind, and she spoke again. If you tell me who gave you the soul-crushing grasp, I'll continue to hit you. How about it? Leng Ruoxue and Ning Duan discussed their conditions. At the same time, she felt a little depressed. Why didn't she think of using this method earlier? In fact, she couldn't be blamed for this. After all, she was living in the Ning family, and her godfather was the Ning family's ancestor. Therefore, she naturally didn't think of using extreme means to achieve her goal. As for now, it was just a passing thought. I don't know what you're talking about. Ning Duan played dumb. Although his body was in pain and itching, his mind was still clear. Hence, when he heard Leng Ruoxue's question, he subconsciously avoided it. You don't know. Grape, lotus seed, I'm tired. I'll leave him to you. With that, Leng Ruoxue turned around and left the cave without hesitation. Ning Haolan and Qing Xian quickly followed after her. After they left the cave, Ning Haolan hesitated for a moment, but he still couldn't help but ask, do you want to extort a confession from Xing Sun? He was a little worried. If the Ning clan knew that Ning Duan was treated like this, Leng Ruoxue would be in trouble. Even if old Grand Madam was protecting her, she could not disappoint the clan. I'm just negotiating with him. Leng Ruoxue chuckled and agreed. He was negotiating terms with Ning Duan. Ning Duan wanted her to hit him, and she wanted Ning Duan to tell her where the forgotten soul came from. How could this be a confession? This was clearly a matter of mutual consent. If Ning Duan did not want to say it, she would naturally not force him. Ning Haolan was stunned after hearing Leng Ruoxue's words. He laughed bitterly in his heart. She was right. This was not a confession because Leng Ruoxue did not force Ning Duan to tell her where the forgotten soul came from. However, if Ning Duan did not tell her, Leng Ruoxue probably would not have hit him anymore. She would have used other methods to torture him, and he believed that those methods would be more unbearable than physical pain. Don't worry, he won't die. I'll keep him alive. Leng Ruoxue glanced at Ning Haolan and said indifferently. That's good. Ning Haolan nodded helplessly. He did not want to comment on this matter because Leng Ruoxue would not listen to him. Great aunt. You've tortured Ning Duan to this state. If he returns to the Ning family and betrays you, you'll be in great trouble. Qing Xian couldn't help but remind her. His face was still filled with caution. To be honest, he was a little frightened because Leng Ruoxue's methods were simply unheard of to him. Although he had lived in the Qing family, one of the 8 great divine regions, since he was a child, if someone in the family made a mistake, they would be punished directly. Even when dealing with the enemy, there was no such torture. After seeing the scene just now, his little heart was still trembling non-stop. Chapter 1541, The Terrified Ning Duan, 2, Don't be afraid. I have an amnesia pill. I'll give him one before we go back to the Ning family, and he'll forget everything. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Great aunt. You're amazing. Although this was the first time he had heard of the memory loss pill, he could tell from the name that it was a pill that could make people lose their memories. However, if Ning Duan lost all his memories and returned to the Ning family, he would not be able to recognize anyone anymore. Wouldn't Ning Haolan, who had ordered the guards to keep him in custody, also be implicated? As he thought of this, he could not help but glance at Ning Haolan. As if she could read Qing Xian's mind, Leng Ruoxue smiled and explained, the memory loss pill will only cause a person to lose part of his memory. In other words, after taking the memory loss pill, he will not remember everything we have done to him these days. Moreover, his memory will stop at the time when we brought him out of the Ning family. So, you don't have to worry. There's actually such a miraculous pill. Qing Xian's face was filled with disbelief. Even Ning Haolan had never heard of such a pill before. Of course. Leng Ruoxue chuckled and nodded. These random pills were all collected by her master over the years. Hee hee. Then can you give me a few? Qing Xian said with a flattering smile. After knowing about this pill, his heart was itching. No problem, he said. Leng Ruoxue was very generous. She then took out a small jade bottle from her bracelet and said to Ning Haolan and Qing Xian, you guys take it and split it. If you do something bad in the future, if you don't want anyone to know, just give the other party a memory loss pill. I guarantee that he won't remember anything. Hee hee. Qing Xian laughed awkwardly because Leng Ruoxue had spoken his mind. He had indeed thought that way and kept the pill just in case. After the two of them had divided the bottle of memory loss pills, the howls from the cave became louder and louder. The two of them felt their blood run cold and their hearts tremble. However, they were also curious as to what the grapes and the lotus seeds were doing. Although they really wanted to find out what was going on, neither of them had the courage to do so. However, the two of them had a tacit understanding and listed Leng Ruoxue as one of the people they could not afford to offend. Sob. This woman's methods were too cruel. They were so scared. After a long time, Grape walked out of the cave and said to Leng Ruoxue indignantly, Miss. That good-for-nothing actually fainted, what should we do? You're still being stubborn. Leng Ruoxue raised her brows and asked indifferently. Yes, I am. Grape nodded. He's got a backbone, wake him up. Then, continue. As Leng Ruoxue spoke, she took out a bottle of pills from her bangle and passed it to Grape. The pills in the bottle were for healing. She did not want Ning Duan to die so easily. Yes. Grape happily took the jade bottle, turned around, and went back into the cave. After that, the howls in the cave did not stop. Occasionally, they would stop, but they would soon start again. 2 days later, Ning Duan, who couldn't bear the torture anymore, finally decided to relent. When Leng Ruoxue heard the news, she walked into the cave with Ning Haolan and Qing Xian. When she saw Ning Duan, who was covered in wounds and looked haggard, she smiled and said, You're finally willing to negotiate with me. If only you were this tactful earlier. After hearing Leng Ruoxue's slightly grumbling words, Ning Haolan and Qing Xian could not help but feel a few black lines forming on their foreheads. Aren't you shooting at the mouth after the fact? They thought. They didn't think that Leng Ruoxue would be kind enough to let Ning Duan off after he revealed the origin of the forgotten soul. After I tell you, you can just kill me. Don't torture me. In his eyes, Leng Ruoxue and the others were the incarnations of the devil. He did not even dare to have the slightest thought of resisting. He was so regretful. How could he have provoked this devil? The Ning family won't let me go after I kill you. Leng Ruoxue reminded him calmly. Then what do you want? Leng Ruoxue's words made Ning Duan's tensed heart clench again. First, tell me the origin of the forgotten soul. If I'm satisfied with your answer, I'll decide what kind of treatment I'll give you. Leng Ruoxue chuckled as she coaxed. All right then. Ning Duan could see that he was now meat on the other person's anvil. The other person could do whatever he wanted, and he had no room to negotiate. It would have been better if you had been so obedient earlier. You would have suffered less pain. Leng Ruoxue sighed. Her words made Ning Duan feel a little angry. However, he did not dare to talk back to Leng Ruoxue now, in case these three terrifying women did something like this again. If that happened, he would really die. The one who made me forget my soul was fifth miss. After a pause, Ning Duan spoke. Ning Shi, Leng Ruoxu's brows twitched as she asked in a cold tone. Ning Haolan's expression changed when he heard the name. Although he returned to normal very quickly, Leng Ruoxu still caught him. Yes. Ning Duan nodded. She gave you the soul forgetfulness so that you could give it to Ning Shan. Leng Ruoxu continued to ask. Yes, she said that I might not be Ning Shan's match, so she asked me to be prepared. She also said that if I could defeat Ning Shan, she would. She would. Ning Duan could not finish his sentence because the gazes of these people in front of him were too terrifying. He was so scared. Will you repay me with your body? Leng Ruoxu laughed coldly. How did you know? Ning Duan hurriedly asked in shock. Of course I'm just guessing. But do you really believe her? Leng Ruoxu was a little speechless. Why couldn't any man escape the schemes of a beauty? Furthermore, this Ning Duan was really too brainless. How could Ning Shi, have taken a fancy to him? That woman's heart was big. Ning Duan was at a loss for words. In that situation, he had long been mesmerized by her beauty, so how could he have cared about the truth of Ning Shi's words? He couldn't wait to please Ning Shi. Of course, he wouldn't have thought so much about it. However, now that he thought about it, Ning Shi's words were very likely to be coaxing. But so what? He had already betrayed Ning Shi. If Ning Shi found out, she would definitely not be nice to him. Therefore, he was destined to never have Ning Shi. What else did Ning Shi say to you? Leng Ruoxu asked again. She also told me to pay attention to Ning Hai. If Ning Hai and I had a chance to fight, she also told me to use the soul-forgetting technique. Seeing Leng Ruoxu's unfriendly expression, Ning Duan asked carefully. There's still more. Leng Ruoxu suppressed the anger in her heart and said. No, I'm telling the truth. Why you can let me go? Ning Duan said pitifully. He was truly afraid. Let you go. Leng Ruoxu looked at Ning Duan with a smile that was not a smile. Initially, she had planned to give Ning Duan a memory loss pill to make him lose this part of his memory. However, she had changed her mind now. She wanted Ning Duan to remember the events of the past few days forever. He would not be able to forget even if he wanted to. She wanted to let the events of the past few days become a nightmare in Ning Duan's heart. This could be considered his punishment for helping the evildoer. Chapter 1542, The Terrified Ning Duan, 3, I won't let you off. Leng Ruoxu's voice was faint, but her words were like a curse to Ning Duan. It made him feel fear, and his face was pale. Just kill me. Don't torture me. Ning Duan cried bitterly, his originally tall body curled up in a corner, trembling. I said I won't kill you, but don't think you'll have a good time. Leng Ruoxu laughed coldly, her beautiful eyes glancing at Ning Haolan as she continued, I want you to recognize him as your master and follow his lead from now on. Not only was Ning Duan stunned by her words, but even Ning Haolan found it unbelievable. Ning Haolan looked at Leng Ruoxu in confusion. He could not figure out what she meant. Oh. Ning Duan should be considered her captive, right? However, she had actually asked Ning Duan to let him be the master. Why did this sound so mysterious? I want you to acknowledge him as your master, Leng Ruoxu repeated with a faint smile. Actually, she was returning the favor by doing this. After all, Ning Haolan had given her the green light for using Ning Duan to test the medicine, and she was a person who knew how to repay kindness. Since she had no intention of killing Ning Duan, why not do him a favor? You're not willing. Leng Ruoxu looked at the stunned Ning Duan and said coldly. No. However, he is the young master of the Ning family, so I will definitely follow his lead. Ning Duan said softly. He knew that Leng Ruoxu had no intention of killing him, nor would she torture him. In fact, she even wanted him to acknowledge Ning Haolan as his master. After knowing this, his thoughts started to wander again, and the meaning behind his words was clear. There was no need for him to acknowledge Ning Haolan as his master. No matter if you want to follow his lead, or if you want to follow his orders on the surface, you have to acknowledge him as your master. Leng Ruoxue said without any room for discussion. However, she could not help but sneer in her heart. If they didn't recognize him as their master, was that still a punishment? Did he really think that he was fine? If it were not for her godfather, Ning Duan probably would have died long ago. As a result, she would not allow Ning Duan to refuse. Ning Duan lowered his head and did not respond. Upon seeing this, Grape kicked him fiercely. Why are you acting dumb? Didn't you hear what my young miss said? Hurry up and recognize me as your master. Don't waste everyone's time. Ning Duan, who had been kicked, rolled on the ground twice before crawling back up in a sorry state. Although he was extremely dissatisfied, he did not dare to make a sound. He looked at Ning Haolan with an aggrieved expression before unwillingly kneeling in front of him, ready to acknowledge him as his master. Remember to take a blood oath. Leng Ruoxue reminded him impolitely. Yes. Ning Duan nodded gloomily, then made a blood oath. With the rules of the contract in place, he had officially become Ning Haolan's servant. Master. After the contract's rules disappeared, Ning Duan continued to kneel with a face full of respect. His life was now in Ning Haolan's hands, so he did not dare to get up unless Ning Haolan said something. Get up. Ning Haolan glanced at Ning Duan indifferently before turning to look at Leng Ruoxue. He could not understand what Leng Ruoxue was trying to do. If she wanted to punish Ning Duan, she would have taken him in as her servant. However, she had pushed Ning Duan to him. Why do you want me to take in this servant? After some thought, Ning Haolan asked the question that had been on his mind. Because I don't like him. However, with him in your hands, you'll have an extra spy in the Ning family. He can be considered my reward. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Actually, the reason why Ning Haolan had accepted Ning Duan as his servant was partly because of her godfather. Then I'll thank you in advance. Ning Haolan said helplessly. He understood what Leng Ruoxue meant. There's no need to thank me, we're both taking what we need. Leng Ruoxue did not think much of it. Yes, I am. Ning Haolan nodded and continued, let's go back to the main house. She couldn't find him these few days, so who knew what had happened in the main residence? You have to let your servant wash up first. Leng Ruoxue looked at the disheveled Ning Duan and kindly reminded him. Yes. Ning Haolan glanced at Ning Duan and nodded in agreement. Ning Duan was currently covered in dirt and was injured, so he really could not return to the main residence like this. Afterwards, Ning Haolan brought Ning Dan to a nearby stream and gave him a healing pill. He then ordered him to wash up and change his clothes. After everything was done, Ning Haolan and the others returned to the Ning family's main residence. As soon as he entered the main residence, a guard informed Ning Haolan to invite him in on behalf of the master and the elders. Qing Xian, take them back to Land Garden first. I'll be right back. Ning Haolan said. Then be careful. Qing Xian was a little worried, because he knew that nothing good would come out of those old foxes wanting to see Hao Lan. Otherwise, they wouldn't have sent people to wait at the door. I know, Ning Haolan nodded, then strode towards the meeting hall. At this time, the meeting hall was in a mess. In the middle of the hall, a couple was crying and making a fuss. They kept howling and asking for their son to be returned. On the other hand, the acting family head, Ning Yuan, sat in the main seat with a dark face. He stared coldly at the couple who were making a scene and felt extremely depressed. Some of the elders present did not look too good either. This was because the couple had been fighting for a few days and they could not find the culprit behind it. Ning Haolan had just walked into the meeting hall when he saw this unreasonable scene. His face immediately turned stern and he shouted, "What are you guys howling about? This is a meeting hall, not a place for you to make a scene." Ning Haolan's loud voice caused quite a stir in the boisterous meeting hall. At the same time, it attracted everyone's attention. In an instant, everyone's eyes were focused on him. As for the couple who were throwing a tantrum, they were first stunned when they heard his roar. When they finally came to their senses, they rushed to Ning Haolan's side and questioned him loudly, "Where's our son? Where did you put my Duan?" Ning Haolan was the young master of the Ning family and the heir hand-picked by the old ancestor. He held a high position in the family, so no matter how much they were unhappy with him, they did not dare to vent their anger on him. They did not even dare to have any physical contact with him, lest they be accused of being in the wrong. In fact, they had already crossed the line by questioning him, but they did not think so in their hearts. "He's very good. However, you can't see him yet." Ning Duan was his servant and had taken a blood oath, so he was not afraid that Ning Duan would betray him. Besides, he felt that Leng Ruoxu's decision was very wise. She must have expected that he would encounter such a situation. "He's our son, why can't we see him?" Ning Duan's father asked in disbelief. He had not seen Duan, for many days, so he was afraid that his child was no longer in this world. He only had one son, so when he suspected this possibility, the couple had gone to find the acting patriarch and the elders without any care, asking them to make a decision.